picture a realm where the sky itself shatters into a million glittering shards, raining molten glass sideways across an alien landscape at supersonic speeds. This mesmerizing sapphire sphere hangs suspended in the vast cosmic dark, inviting observers to lose themselves in its vivid oceanic hue. Yet this stunning coloration is merely a beautiful optical illusion, masking a deeply hostile environment, disguising ferocious atmospheric violence behind a veil of absolute breathtaking serenity. Deep within the eternal, peaceful dark of the cosmos, the sheer, unimaginable weight of gravity effortlessly transforms the common into the truly extraordinary. On carbon-rich worlds, the crushing pressure of 1,000 miles of rock forces basic atoms into a state of absolute crystalline perfection. This hidden subterranean architecture forges deep layers of solid diamond beneath the planetary crust, acting as a vast and silent treasury locked away in the crushing heart of the world. Surprisingly, the rhythmic pulse of our cosmic discoveries reveals that every single exoplanet mapped so far represents only a tiny, solitary grain of sand on the vast, glittering beach of our galaxy. While our most powerful telescopes have glimpsed thousands of remote worlds, they have only scratched the surface of a neighbourhood containing hundreds of billions of unread planetary stories. The sheer scale of the unknown is so immense and humbling that our current stellar maps are essentially blank canvases waiting patiently for the first stroke of a brush. If we were to look closer, the true marvel is not just out there in the infinite dark, but right here in the slow, quiet rhythm of your own resting breathing. As the heavy weight of the day completely fades away, let your tired body sink deeply into the mattress, surrounded entirely by the absolute security of this tranquil room. You're safe, and these wonders are yours to inherit as you sleep. Far beyond the familiar boundaries of our solar system, the exoplanet HD 189733b glows with a deep, serene azure blue. This mesmerizing sapphire sphere hangs suspended in the vast cosmic dark, inviting observers to lose themselves in its vivid oceanic hue. The gentle warmth of a red dwarf star settling on quiet dust feels distant here, replaced by the violent, magnificent reality of a gas giant orbiting dangerously close to its host. If we were to look closer, the tranquility of that blue marble shatters into a chaotic symphony of extreme atmospheric dynamics. Supersonic winds howl across the planetary surface, violently whipping through the upper atmosphere at speeds that would instantly dismantle any terrestrial structure. Yet, from afar, the celestial body maintains its pristine, polished appearance, resembling a flawless gemstone resting on the velvet expanse of deep space. This cosmic structure challenges our preconceived notions of beauty and terror. The deep blue colour, so reminiscent of our own peaceful Earth, serves as a stunning optical illusion masking a deeply hostile environment. It stands as a brilliant testament to the universe's ability to disguise ferocious atmospheric violence behind a veil of absolute breathtaking serenity. Surprisingly, the universe paints this stunning coloration not from vast, tranquil oceans, but from a hazy atmosphere densely packed with silicate particles scattering starlight. Instead of gentle water droplets, the clouds enveloping this world are composed of vaporized rock and glass, swirling in a perpetual scorching storm. When the fierce light from its nearby star strikes these airborne silicates, it scatters the blue wavelengths in a brilliant display of Rayleigh scattering. Imagine standing on a floating platform within this churning tempest, where the air itself sparkles with a lethal crystalline glitter. Rains of molten glass tear sideways through the thick atmosphere, driven by the relentless, screaming planetary winds that circle the globe. The environment is a brutal forge of extreme pressure and temperature, completely antithetical to the calming blue light it projects into the void. Deep within the cosmos, the mechanics of light and chemistry combine to create such magnificent optical deceptions. The silicate haze acts as a planetary mirror, reflecting a cool, inviting azure, while hiding a churning inferno of molten minerals. It is a mesmerizing reminder that in the grand tapestry of exoplanetary science, visual splendor often conceals the most extreme and inhospitable physical realities. Picture a distant world bathed entirely in the crimson, steady glow of a nearby M-dwarf star. The gentle warmth of a red dwarf star settling on quiet dust creates a landscape washed in eternal, muted shades of rust, burgundy, and deep scarlet. Here, the harsh, glaring white light of a yellow sun is entirely absent, replaced by a soothing low-energy radiance that blankets the alien terrain. This dim, scarlet illumination casts long, soft shadows that barely contrast against the darkened soil, forging an environment of perpetual calming twilight. Plant life, should it exist in this quiet sanctuary, would not be green but rather an ink black or deep violet, engineered to absorb every available photon of infrared energy. The sky above would never turn blue, maintaining instead a pale, dusty pink hue that deepens into a rich blood orange near the horizon. If we were to look closer at the surface, the rocks and mountains would appear smooth and ancient, resting undisturbed under the watchful eye of an ancient, long-lived star. Time itself seems to slow down under the patient watch of a red dwarf, whose lifespan stretches into the trillions of years. This crimson world slumbers in a state of eternal, peaceful quietude, untouched by the chaotic stellar flares of more volatile, massive suns. Notice how the shadows stretching endlessly across a landscape are uniquely illuminated by two distinct suns sinking below the alien horizon. The interplay of dual light sources creates a mesmerizing, ever-shifting geometry of darkness and light, casting double silhouettes that stretch and overlap in complex rhythmic patterns. As the primary brighter star begins its descent, a secondary cooler companion star bathes the shifting dunes in an entirely different spectrum of colour. This binary sunset weaves a vibrant tapestry across the evening sky, blending streaks of brilliant gold from the main sun with the deep, bruising purples of its smaller partner. The transition from day to night is not a simple fading of light, but a protracted, beautiful dance of intersecting wavelengths and creeping penumbras. Observers on the surface would witness the sky cycling through a breathtaking kaleidoscope of hues before the true starry night finally takes hold. Deep within these complex systems, the gravitational waltz of two stars dictates the very rhythm of the planetary climate and its daily atmospheric tides. The gentle warmth of the binary pair settling on quiet dust provides a fluctuating but deeply comforting blanket of radiant energy. Such worlds offer a constant visual reminder of the intricate multi-layered orbital mechanics that govern the far reaches of our galaxy. Deep within the cosmos, Kepler 16b offers a peaceful double sunset similar to a famous science fiction desert world, turning cinematic fantasy into profound astronomical reality. This Saturn mass giant glides smoothly along a circumbinary orbit, maintaining a delicate, stable path around a central pair of dancing stars. The celestial mechanics required to keep this world intact are a marvel of gravitational balance, proving that stable planets can indeed exist in the chaotic heart of a binary system. Imagine floating in the upper atmosphere of this massive gaseous sphere as the twin suns approach the hazy edge of the visible horizon. One star, a bright and energetic G-type dwarf, casts piercing white rays through the swirling clouds, while its smaller red dwarf companion adds a subtle, warming crimson undertone. The resulting atmospheric illumination is a breathtaking fusion of stark, brilliant highlights and soft, deep reddish shadows that slowly rotate across the planet's vast cloud decks. This cosmic structure stands as a monument to the endless variety of planetary architectures hidden in the Milky Way. Its existence expands our understanding of where planets can form and survive the gravitational tug-of-war of multiple host stars. It is a quiet, majestic world that watches two suns rise and fall in a perpetual hypnotic rhythm. Surprisingly, the universe contains pitch-black planets like Tris 2b, which reflect almost no light, and absorbs a calming, albeit intense warmth. Orbiting precariously close to its host star, this enigmatic gas giant consumes over 99% of the photons that strike its heavily shrouded atmosphere. It is darker than the blackest coal or the most light-absorbent acrylic paint found on Earth, presenting itself as a massive void-like silhouette against the stellar backdrop. If we were to look closer, the true nature of this abyssal darkness stems from vaporized sodium, potassium, and titanium oxide suspended in its upper atmosphere. These exotic compounds act as a cosmic sponge, swallowing incoming starlight and trapping the immense heat within the planet's bloated envelope. Despite its lack of reflectivity, the staggeringly hot world emits a faint, eerie, deep red glow. Picture a colossal orb of simmering dark matter radiating a heat so profound it hums with the silent, suppressed energy of a captured star. The gentle warmth of a red dwarf star settling on quiet dust is entirely absent here, replaced by a suffocating, invisible inferno locked within a sphere of absolute midnight. TRES-2b is a magnificent phantom of the cosmos, a shadow world that quietly devours light while burning softly from within. High above the cloud decks of glowing gas giants, silent auroras outshine anything ever seen on Earth by orders of magnitude. These dazzling ethereal light shows are powered by the ferocious interaction between a massive planet's immensely strong magnetic field and the relentless solar wind of its host star. Powerful currents of charged particles cascade down the magnetic poles, igniting the upper atmosphere in a brilliant continuous explosion of phosphorescent colour. Notice how the swirling ribbons of ultraviolet, deep blue and emerald green stretch for thousands of miles across the dark, high-altitude skies of these massive worlds. The sheer scale of these auroral storms generates invisible radio waves that echo quietly into the vast emptiness of interstellar space. Below this brilliant electrical canopy, the swirling, violent cloud bands of the gas giant remain cloaked in relative darkness, illuminated only by the intermittent flashes of continent-sized lightning storms. This celestial phenomenon highlights the invisible, powerful magnetic shields that protect these gargantuan planets from the erosive forces of their local suns. The auroras serve as a glowing, beautifully violent testament to the complex electromagnetic forces silently shaping the evolution of exoplanetary atmospheres. It is a breathtaking, silent spectacle of pure energy, dancing endlessly above the crushing, turbulent depths of an alien sky. A planet known as WASP-76b presents an incredibly bright dayside, locked eternally toward its hot, unrelenting host star. Because of its extreme proximity, gravitational tidal forces have arrested the planet's rotation, forcing one hemisphere to endure a state of permanent scorching noon, while the other faces the endless freezing void. On this dayside, temperatures soar to thousands of degrees, causing atmospheric molecules to completely break apart and vaporize solid metals into a thick glowing gas. This cosmic structure illustrates the extreme, deeply hostile environments that exist on the very fringes of planetary survival. The gentle warmth of a red dwarf star settling on quiet dust could not be further from the violent molten reality of WASP-76b. It is a world of stark, horrifying contrasts, beautifully demonstrating the chaotic, transformative power of stellar radiation on a tidally locked giant. If we were to look closer, the soft twilight zones of tidally locked worlds offer a permanent, peaceful dusk that mediates the extremes of day and night. This narrow, crucial ribbon of territory, known as the Terminator Line, rests exactly between the blistering, eternal noon and the deeply frozen, perpetual midnight. Here, the host star perpetually hovers right at the edge of the horizon, casting impossibly long, unchanging shadows across a static, beautifully illuminated landscape. Picture a sanctuary where the climate remains suspended in a delicate, enduring balance, heavily sheltered from the devastating heat and the crushing cold. The atmospheric dynamics of this region create a constant, moderate breeze that smoothly circulates life-giving warmth without escalating into the screaming supersonic storms found elsewhere on the planet. If standing on this threshold, one would witness a sky forever painted in the gentle, muted colours of a sunset that never truly fades to dark. This unique geographical band represents one of the most promising and serene environments for potential alien life in the known universe. The gentle warmth of a red dwarf star settling on quiet dust perfectly describes the serene, protected conditions found within this permanent terminator zone. It is a quiet, eternal haven, deeply hidden within the harsh architecture of a synchronized celestial body. Starlight filtering through complex alien atmospheres paints the evening skies in hues of violet, orange, and pale green. Depending entirely on the specific chemical composition of the air, the Rayleigh scattering on these distant worlds produces breathtaking optical effects far beyond our standard blue heavens. Atmospheres rich in methane might cast a deep emerald hue over the terrain, while thick layers of organic haze could shroud a planet in an impenetrable, vibrant amber mist. Notice how the angle of the descending sun radically alters the light's journey through these exotic gaseous envelopes, intensifying the colours into a brilliant luminescent glow. As the star dips low, photons struggle through miles of dense alien chemistry, stripping away shorter wavelengths and bathing the landscape in deeply saturated, surreal tones. This atmospheric prism transforms the simplest sunset into a mesmerizing daily masterpiece of shifting alien chromodynamics. Ultimately, the diverse chemical signatures of these distant skies offer a silent visual whisper of the complex geologic and biological processes occurring below. The gentle warmth of a red dwarf star settling on quiet dust is just one small brushstroke on this vast, magnificent canvas of starlight. Every exoplanet discovered adds a completely new, vivid colour to our understanding of the endless beautiful variations thriving in the cosmic dark. The endless beautiful variations thriving in the cosmic dark extend far beyond just colour and light, manifesting in the profound, rhythmic sweep of high-altitude breezes pushing through thick vapour. Giant gaseous spheres wandering the interstellar medium frequently host massive, slow-moving storm systems that completely dwarf our homeworld. These colossal vortexes of swirling gas circulate smoothly and continuously, maintaining their elegant, terrifying structures for ages without any interruption. If we were to look closer, the unbelievable longevity of these monumental storms stems primarily from the complete lack of a solid terrestrial surface to disrupt their fluid flow. Unhindered by jagged mountains or sprawling continents, the swirling atmospheric currents feed endlessly on the planet's deep internal heat, spinning in a state of perpetual fluid grace. The eye of such a breathtaking hurricane easily spans immense distances, offering a pocket of profound, eerie stillness amidst the raging elemental forces violently surrounding it. Deep within these rotating behemoths, the sheer, unimaginable scale of the alien weather creates a mesmerizing, slow-motion ballet of complex fluid dynamics. To an observer floating safely above the fray, the tempest would appear almost frozen in time, its massive rotating arms creeping across the planetary face with majestic, imperceptible slowness. It is a stunning, terrifying display of atmospheric inertia, a quiet, eternal tempest beautifully suspended forever in the frigid vacuum of deep space. Surprisingly, the expanding universe crafts its weather from raw materials far more exotic than simple water, allowing billowing clouds of zinc and potassium to silently drift through the upper layers of highly heated exoplanets. On these blistering spheres, surface temperatures soar high enough to rapidly vaporize heavy metals, lifting them effortlessly into the hazy alien sky. As these scorching metallic vapors rise and encounter the slightly cooler stratospheric layers, they dramatically condense into shimmering silvery cloud banks. Picture a breathtaking, surreal overcast day, where the heavy clouds gleam with a metallic iridescent sheen, brilliantly reflecting the fierce glare of the massive host star. The extreme atmospheric chemistry on these hostile worlds turns familiar, earthly industrial elements into profound meteorological marvels, forming sweeping metallic weather fronts that glide soundlessly overhead. These heavy glowing formations drift in complete eerie silence, driven by immense atmospheric thermal tides that constantly sweep across the blazing dayside. This unique structure of airborne metal deeply challenges our terrestrial understanding of meteorology, transforming the very sky into a suspended, shimmering ocean of molten potential. As the dense metallic droplets grow too heavy to remain aloft, they create a dazzling, luminescent drizzle of pure elements that violently vaporizes again before ever reaching the lower depths. The entire system creates a beautifully endless loop of boiling vapor and liquid, painting the alien firmament in strokes of shifting silver. Notice how the thick, hazy skies of certain supermassive rocky worlds perfectly trap radiating heat to create a deeply stable, uniform temperature across the entire planet. These dense, heavy atmospheric blankets act as the ultimate cosmic thermostat, efficiently distributing incoming thermal energy from the baking equator all the way to the freezing poles. The beautiful result is a profoundly tranquil global climate, completely devoid of the chaotic seasonal shifts or severe temperature extremes found elsewhere in the galaxy. Imagine wandering a vast rocky expanse, where the heavy air feels exactly as comfortably warm at midnight as it does beneath the midday stellar glare. The thick, insulating planetary haze smoothly diffuses the incoming starlight into a soft, ubiquitous, ambient glow that casts absolutely no harsh shadows and offers no distinct horizon line. The entire massive world is perfectly cocooned in this permanent pleasant twilight, fostering an environment of unparalleled planetary scale equilibrium. Before venturing further into these uncharted gaseous depths, allow the gentle, measured rhythm of your resting breathing to perfectly mirror the steady, unchanging pulse of this balanced world. As your physical body rests deeply against the mattress, quietly consider the profound peace of a massive landscape where the weather never significantly changes and the air remains forever still. It is a rare, perfectly insulated haven floating securely in a universe largely defined by violent, unpredictable fluctuations. Descending slowly through the thick layers of exotic gases on a massive world reveals a mesmerizing transition where the atmospheric pressure slowly and softly builds exactly like a deep ocean. At the highest, thinnest altitudes, the frigid air is almost a whisper, offering a clear, completely undisturbed, brilliant view of the surrounding, sparkling stellar neighborhood. But as a traveler sinks much deeper into the gargantuan gaseous envelope, the surrounding environment thickens dramatically, shifting from a transparent void to a heavy fluid. This incredibly gradual increase in atmospheric density creates a deeply comforting, suspended physical sensation, feeling very much like slowly sinking into a warm, infinite shoreless sea. The ambient starlight slowly fades through a breathtaking spectrum of surreal colours as the thickening gases naturally filter out different visible wavelengths, eventually settling into a deep twilight. Down in these crushing lower depths, the thick atmosphere behaves much more like a heavy liquid than a traditional gas, moving with sluggish grace. Deep within this intensely pressurized, lightless abyss, the traditional boundary between an open sky and a deep ocean beautifully dissolves into a continuous supercritical fluid. The crushing, immense weight of the entire atmosphere pressing down from above generates an immense quiet power, yet the transition is so perfectly smooth, it feels entirely peaceful. It is a profound, unforgettable journey into the very heart of planetary gravity, safely enveloped by an ever-thickening embrace of alien atmospheric chemistry. Gentle, persistent updrafts on remote worlds with significantly lower mass allow massive, fluffy cloud formations to linger gracefully in the quiet sky for extended periods. Without a crushing, heavy gravitational pull to quickly drag condensed moisture back to the rocky surface, the delicate atmospheric architecture remains suspended in a state of prolonged, beautiful hesitation. These towering, cotton-like meteorological structures climb to truly astonishing altitudes, building delicate, sprawling cities of vapour in the upper reaches of the atmosphere. Picture a sprawling, endless horizon dominated almost entirely by these slow-moving, majestic vapour giants, casting vast, slowly creeping, cooling shadows over the quiet, undisturbed terrain far below. The natural thermal currents that drive these floating mountains are incredibly weak and slow, creating expansive weather systems that gracefully evolve over long durations rather than mere fleeting moments. An enormous, billowing cloud might drift lazily across the entirety of an alien continent, softly changing shape with the gentle winds. This unique, low-gravity meteorology successfully creates an environment of profound slowness, where the dramatic violence of a typical terrestrial storm is stretched into a peaceful display. The gentle, inevitable descent of atmospheric precipitation takes extended periods to finally reach the dusty ground, falling precisely like perfectly weightless feathers in the quiet air. It is a truly magical realm of slow-motion beauty, where the sky acts as a brilliant canvas of ever-changing, impossibly high-fluid sculptures. Surprisingly, some vast distant planetary atmospheres are so incredibly rich in primordial helium that ambient physical sounds would natively travel at unusual, beautifully soothing audio frequencies. The unique, lightweight molecular density of this noble gas drastically alters the very physics of local acoustics, shifting the pitch of the wind into deep, harmonic resonances. Every solitary atmospheric movement on these bizarre worlds effortlessly produces a subtle melodic vibration that echoes endlessly through the thick, hazy alien air. If we were to listen very closely, the typical terrifying roar of a planetary gale would be completely transformed into a resonant choral hum, vibrating with deeply calming energy. The air itself fundamentally acts as a massive planetary acoustic instrument, effortlessly turning raw weather into a magnificent symphony of low, rolling bass tones and clear updrafts. Sound easily carries for vast, unimaginable distances through the helium-rich envelope, allowing the distant friction of clouds to be heard perfectly. As you sink even deeper into your quiet resting place, feeling completely physically supported and relaxed, simply let the idea of these soothing alien harmonics wash over you. The tired mind can rest incredibly easily when peacefully envisioning a world that constantly sings its own quiet lullaby through the simple, physical act of existing. The cosmic winds sweeping across this particular sphere are not a destructive force, but instead serve as a gentle, perfectly resonant musical breath. Notice the truly mesmerizing atmospheric shear zones exactly where these opposing colored bands meet, actively creating a beautiful, intricate lace of swirling, chaotic eddies and spinning vortices. The distinct colors of the rapidly alternating stripes, deep rusty ochres, pale mustard yellows and creamy milky whites, blend and separate in an endless hypnotic fluid dance. It is a breathtaking, massive display of immense kinetic energy, perfectly contained and elegantly balanced within a complex system of powerful opposing planetary forces. This colossal cosmic structure offers an incredibly rare view of pure, unadulterated momentum, completely isolated from the chaotic, noisy disruptions of a typical rocky terrestrial landscape. The silent sheer force of entire atmospheric continents of gas sliding smoothly and effortlessly against each other is a testament to the elegant laws of nature. It is a majestic, beautiful, planetary-scale mechanism turning quietly forever in the absolute dark, powered continuously by the ancient trapped heat of its creation. High above the intensely scorching surface of extreme lava worlds, vaporized molten rock occasionally condenses in the slightly cooler upper atmosphere, creating a shimmering mineral-rich fog. As the intense blistering planetary heat radiates forcefully outward, it naturally carries trace elements of silica and iron into the thinner frigid layers of the upper exosphere. Up there, the sudden, extreme drop in ambient temperature forces the rising vapor to suddenly freeze into microscopic, beautifully glittering crystals of pure rock. Imagine a dense, low-hanging atmospheric mist that intensely glitters exactly like scattered diamond dust under the piercing, unblinking light of an extremely close, violent alien sun. This suspended, crystalline geological haze effectively acts as a delicate optical veil, significantly softening the fierce stellar glare and perfectly scattering light into a spectrum of metallic rainbows. The heavy fog drifts incredibly slowly across the dark, cooling side of the Terminator line, sparkling brightly as it catches the dying rays. Deep within this shimmering, otherworldly cloud bank, the heavy air is thick with the sharp scent of ozone and freshly forged microscopic space minerals. The high-altitude condensation of vaporized stone serves as a quiet, beautiful reminder of the extreme, incredibly violent geological processes constantly occurring far below the visible surface. It is a fascinating weather system composed entirely of suspended microscopic Earth, floating gracefully and silently above a completely molten, totally uninhabitable planetary sea. The prevailing powerful winds on a tidally synchronized world sweep endlessly from the blistering hot day side to comfortably warm the freezing eternal dark of the night. This massive planet-wide global circulation system perfectly acts as a vital, necessary pressure valve, constantly redistributing the immense thermal energy continuously bombarding the sun-facing hemisphere. Without this relentless, deeply powerful planetary jet stream, the atmosphere would completely freeze solid in the dark and entirely boil away into space in the light. Picture this global rushing wind as a massive invisible river of profound warmth, flowing smoothly and steadily across the twilight boundary without ever altering its course. As it travels deep into the uncharted night side, the heavy air slowly cools, naturally descending and circling back along the rocky surface in a continuous loop. This brilliant thermal conveyor belt perfectly creates a deeply predictable, constant breeze that brings the soothing warmth of the day side into the quiet dark. Allow the deeply steady, profoundly rhythmic sensation of your own chest, naturally rising and falling, to perfectly align with this massive, continuous planetary atmospheric exhalation. Just as your resting body naturally and effortlessly circulates vital warmth to all extremities as you sleep, this synchronized sphere breathes in a perfect life-sustaining rhythm. The endless, rushing cosmic wind serves as the very heartbeat of the world, keeping its extreme dual nature perfectly suspended in a state of harmonious balance. Far above the heavily turbulent, constantly churning cloud decks, the stratospheric layers on ancient massive worlds remain utterly still, beautifully undisturbed by the chaotic weather below. In this incredibly high-altitude, pristine sanctuary, the thin air is so completely devoid of pressure that the violent thermal convection of the lower atmosphere simply cannot reach it. It is a breathtaking realm of absolute crystalline clarity, where the sparse gas molecules silently drift in perfect, utterly undisturbed, suspended atmospheric stasis. If we were to look significantly closer, this deeply peaceful upper atmospheric layer perfectly acts as a silent, invisible protective buffer against the empty vacuum of space. There are absolutely no thick clouds here, no rushing winds, and no falling precipitation, only a vast, empty expanse of transparent gas, heavily saturated with ultraviolet shielding compounds. The distant scattered stars consistently shine with an unwavering, piercing brilliance straight through this perfectly still, flawlessly transparent planetary atmospheric lens. This pristine, completely untouched, incredibly high altitude beautifully represents the ultimate profound culmination of true planetary tranquility anywhere in the known cosmos. The rhythmic sweep of high-altitude breezes pushing through thick vapor eventually, inevitably yields completely to this profound, eternal, motionless calm exactly at the very edge of the sky. It remains the absolute quietest place on the entire planet, acting as an eternal, profoundly silent ceiling looking calmly out into the endless vast cosmic dark. Looking calmly out into the endless vast cosmic dark, an observer might eventually discover a celestial body that perfectly mirrors that profound emptiness, covered entirely by a single unbroken global sea. Entire spheres of liquid, commonly referred to within astronomical circles as pelagic exoplanets, hold colossal, profound oceans that stretch endlessly across the entire planetary surface without a single rocky landmass in sight. The muted lapping of heavy liquid waves against a smooth, featureless shore is completely impossible here, simply because a traditional coastline does not physically exist anywhere on the entire submerged globe. Notice how the sheer, incomprehensible volume of water on these submerged spheres creates an environment of terrifying, beautiful isolation, where the only boundary is the atmospheric ceiling above and the crushing depths below. The immense planetary-scale currents circulate without any terrestrial interruption, sweeping smoothly across the equator and diving into the frigid polar regions in a state of continuous, uninterrupted fluid motion. This elegant global circulation creates an awe-inspiring, mesmerizing aquatic ballet, moving unfathomable masses of heavy liquid around the world in a beautifully synchronized, eternal rotation. Deep within the abyssal zones of these pelagic anomalies, the crushing total darkness is absolute, completely untouched by even the most brilliant piercing flares of the distant host star. The sheer physical weight of the global ocean pressing down from above completely changes the fundamental properties of the fluid, forcing the deep water to become incredibly dense, sluggish, and intensely pressurized. It is a profoundly quiet, utterly hidden realm, representing the absolute pinnacle of planetary-scale aquatic tranquility, suspended in the frigid vacuum of interstellar space. Deep beneath the crushing, oppressive weight of these global oceans, the absolute absence of penetrating sunlight gives way to the faint, eerie, localized glow of warm hydrothermal vents scattered across the submerged rocky seafloor. These towering, chimney-like geological formations quietly exude rich, superheated mineral plumes, directly venting the immense trapped geothermal energy of the planetary core into the freezing, lightless aquatic abyss. The violent, continuous collision between the boiling, chemical-rich mantle exhaust and the heavy, frigid seawater creates a mesmerizing, churning oasis of intense, localized heat and profound chemical complexity. If we were to look significantly closer, these bubbling, submerged volcanic towers quietly nurture the perfect, delicate chemistry necessary to spontaneously forge highly complex, life-giving organic molecules deep in the absolute dark. The unique extreme environment effectively acts as a naturally occurring, deeply pressurized chemical reactor, endlessly mixing trace minerals and volatile compounds without the destructive interference of harsh stellar radiation. It completely upends the traditional assumption that a sunlit surface is entirely necessary for intricate chemical evolution, proving that the darkest depths can harbour the most brilliant molecular synthesis. Picture the profoundly silent, beautiful isolation of these deep-sea chemical oases, continuously pumping out a warm, nurturing soup of essential elements into the vast, indifferent emptiness of the surrounding global sea. The sheer resilience of these submerged ecosystems lies entirely in their complete, absolute detachment from the chaotic, unpredictable weather and violently shifting temperatures occurring thousands of miles above on the planetary surface. They stand as quiet, monumental testaments to the sheer, unstoppable persistence of planetary geology, forever glowing faintly in the freezing, untouched bottom of the alien sea. Picture a bizarre, intensely frigid world where the planetary hydrological cycle relies not on liquid water, but on heavily concentrated liquid methane raining down gently to form vast, perfectly glassy lakes under a thick, hazy orange sky. The extreme, biting cold inherently required to maintain these expansive hydrocarbon seas naturally slows down every single physical process, transforming a simple meteorological rainstorm into a beautifully lazy, profoundly delayed atmospheric ballet. Each individual, heavy droplet of condensed methane takes an agonizingly long, incredibly slow duration to finally complete its descent, drifting downward with the delicate, weightless grace of a falling autumn leaf. Surprisingly, the remarkably dense, smog-like atmospheric canopy perfectly insulates these expansive, dark, oily lakes, completely protecting the mirrored liquid surface from the harsh, erosive winds that might otherwise disrupt their undisturbed crystalline tranquility. The resulting lack of surface agitation ensures that the vast pools of freezing liquid remain utterly motionless, reflecting the pale, diffused orange light of the shrouded sun with absolute flawless optical precision. Standing on the frozen, rigid shores of such a remarkable basin, an observer would witness a world suspended entirely in a state of deeply beautiful, heavy, uninterrupted planetary hibernation. As you consciously allow your physical body to sink deeper into its own comfortable stillness, permit the heavy, slow-motion rhythm of this distant, drifting methane rain to perfectly synchronize with your steadily deepening restful breath. Allow the profound, overarching slowness of this completely frozen, deeply peaceful world to gently wash over your tired mind, replacing any lingering anxiety with the quiet, smooth surface of an undisturbed alien lake. The universe holds countless, impossibly quiet sanctuaries just like this completely undisturbed refuge, endlessly waiting in the softly illuminated dark, completely isolated from the rapidly rushing demands of traditional sunlit worlds. Notice the incredibly heavy, thick, dramatic, slow-motion splash a massive liquid iron raindrop makes as it finally plummets from the molten sky and strikes the utterly scorched, completely barren planetary surface of an ultra-hot world. The immense, deeply crushing gravity of these massive terrestrial spheres pulls the molten metal downward with terrifying, unstoppable force, yet the extreme, oppressive atmospheric density simultaneously and severely retards the droplet's final, violent descent. This profound physical contradiction creates an otherworldly, mesmerizing meteorological event where searing hot, heavily glowing precipitation impacts the solid bedrock exactly like thick, viscous syrup rather than a typical, swiftly splashing earthly water droplet. This bizarre metallic precipitation creates an entirely unique, intensely alien auditory landscape, completely replacing the soft, chaotic patter of earthly rain with the terrifying, rhythmic, industrial thud of molten steel constantly hammering the rocky crust. The sheer heat radiating from each fallen, glowing puddle of liquid iron softly illuminates the immediate surrounding darkness, painting the jagged, scorched terrain in shifting, deeply ominous hues of vibrant, pulsating orange and deep crimson. Eventually, as the local temperature infinitesimally dips during the brief, violent transition of twilight, these scattered, molten puddles smoothly and quietly solidify back into the rigid, permanent planetary bedrock. Deep within this incredibly hostile, violently forged environment, the sheer beauty of the molten rain lies perfectly hidden within its terrifying, absolute destructive potential and its undeniable, heavy grace. The entire planetary crust is constantly, relentlessly being destroyed, melted and completely repaved by the shifting skies, creating a completely fluid, deeply unpredictable geological history that constantly erases its own ancient past. It represents the ultimate profound expression of a world entirely shaped by extreme heat, where the very rocks themselves are forced into the sky only to fall back down in a heavy liquid downpour. Beneath unimaginably thick, globally encompassing outer crusts of intensely hardened ice, vast subsurface oceans remain incredibly peaceful and completely shielded from the lethal, irradiated harshness of the open, deeply unforgiving cosmic void. The massive, frozen, rigid shell perfectly acts as an impenetrable, planet-wide planetary armour, permanently absorbing devastating asteroid impacts and deadly solar radiation, while flawlessly maintaining the delicate liquid sanctity of the hidden, dark waters below. This immense, overarching glacial ceiling ensures that the trapped, lightless sea completely retains its precious, vital warmth, slowly provided by the subtle, rhythmic flexing of the planetary core hidden deep within the submerged abyss. Imagine drifting entirely silently through this pitch-black, infinitely calm subterranean sea, completely separated from the chaotic, violent, deeply unpredictable universe above by miles of ancient, shifting, constantly groaning glacial rock. The only discernible physical sound in this completely dark, pressurized underwater sanctuary is the deep, resonant, beautifully haunting echo of massive ice faults slowly snapping and settling under the immense crushing weight of their own mass. It is a profoundly isolated, completely sealed environment, completely cut off from the light of any star, yet it continually harbours the vast, swirling, elegant potential of entirely hidden, uninterrupted aquatic circulation. This structure of completely encapsulated internal oceans drastically changes our entire understanding of planetary habitability, proving that the most deeply stable, profound aquatic environments might exist entirely beneath a frozen, barren exterior. The thick protective ice ensures that absolutely no atmospheric evaporation can ever strip the world of its precious liquid, locking the massive ocean into a state of completely eternal, unwavering physical preservation. These profoundly silent hidden seas patiently endure for countless eons, acting as completely perfectly preserved, gigantic time capsules of liquid potential, smoothly orbiting through the coldest, darkest outer reaches of their respective stellar systems. Deep within the most heavily massive of these exotic aquatic planets, the staggering, completely incomprehensible weight of the overarching global ocean violently forces the water molecules at the very bottom into a bizarre, solid state known as high-pressure ice. This incredibly dense, profoundly rigid material exists at temperatures that would instantly boil traditional liquid, yet the immense, overarching gravitational pressure absolutely prevents the molecules from physically expanding or converting into vapor. It represents a truly fascinating, completely counterintuitive state of physical matter, where deeply intense, burning heat and completely solid, rigid ice paradoxically coexist in a state of perfectly balanced, continuous planetary tension. This cosmic structure completely and utterly redefines our fundamental understanding of internal planetary geology, proving that a terrestrial core does not exclusively require molten iron or solid rock, but can be forged entirely from compressed, superheated water. The transition zone, perfectly located exactly between the crushing, pitch-black, immensely heavy liquid ocean and this intensely hot, rigidly solid ice mantle, remains one of the most mysterious, violent and fascinating physical boundaries in the entire cosmos. Tremendous, unseen geological forces constantly tear and grind along this bizarre, deeply buried threshold, generating massive, unseen internal planetary quakes that slowly ripple upward through the thousands of miles of liquid entirely undetected. Let the heavy, deeply comforting weight of your blanket gently and securely press against your increasingly relaxed muscles, perfectly mimicking the profound, deeply insulating, supportive pressure found exactly at the very heart of these immense, water-bound spheres. Just as that gentle, encompassing pressure perfectly secures your physical body in a state of deep, undisturbed rest, the immense planetary gravity perfectly holds the chaotic, boiling water strictly in line, forcing it into a deeply quiet, structural solidity. Feel the profound, grounding stability of that tremendous invisible force, knowing that even the most inherently volatile, deeply energetic elements can be effortlessly calmed and completely stilled by the right environmental embrace. The beautifully rhythmic, deeply relentless gravitational pull of a massive, heavily cratered nearby moon perfectly dictates the slow, incredibly majestic, immensely swelling tides of a vast, completely unmapped alien sea. As the colossal, silent lunar companion smoothly and predictably arcs across the hazy, unfamiliar sky, it effortlessly drags unfathomable volumes of heavy liquid across the planetary surface, creating a continuous, slowly travelling, world-spanning aquatic bulge. This immense, shifting wall of dark, heavy water moves with terrifying, unstoppable momentum, smoothly washing over any shallow, hidden subsurface shoals and violently churning the deeply buried, nutrient-rich sedimentary layers below. Notice how the sheer, immense scale of these astronomically driven tides creates completely localized, temporary deep-sea environments, drastically altering the intense water pressure and local temperature as the massive, silent aquatic wave passes completely overhead. The beautifully predictable, profoundly clockwork nature of this lunar relationship ensures that the massive ocean never remains entirely stagnant, but instead constantly, rhythmically, breathes in a state of perfectly synchronized, immense physical expansion and subsequent slow contraction. It is a breathtaking, truly monumental display of invisible, long-distance orbital mechanics, physically manifesting as a deeply powerful, highly visible, unstoppable geographical force upon the darkened, watery surface. If we were to look closer, the immense raw physical friction continuously generated by this relentless, deeply repetitive tidal squeezing actually produces massive amounts of vital internal planetary heat deep within the rocky seabed. This continuously generated, profoundly necessary thermal energy smoothly radiates upward into the frigid depths, completely preventing the massive overarching global ocean from simply freezing totally solid in the absence of strong direct sunlight. The seemingly distant, completely barren moon therefore acts as the vital beating heart of the entire submerged ecosystem, silently pumping essential, life-sustaining warmth into the dark waters through the sheer, invisible power of its passing gravity. Surprisingly, if we were to look significantly closer at the completely solitary, deeply frozen wanderers adrift between the stars, we might discover hidden, vast reservoirs of liquid water, perfectly sustained deep inside by ancient trapped geothermal heat. Completely devoid of any warming, radiant stellar companion, these incredibly lonely, deeply isolated celestial bodies must rely entirely on the extremely slow, persistent radioactive decay deeply buried within their heavy rocky cores. This incredibly faint, deeply persistent internal fire provides just enough crucial, continuous warmth to completely prevent their hidden, perfectly sealed subterranean seas from completely solidifying into solid, lifeless blocks of dead ice. Picture the absolute, profound, and deeply unsettling isolation of a completely lightless, rigidly enclosed ocean, drifting silently and endlessly through the immense, terrifyingly empty interstellar void, completely untethered from any standard recognizable solar system. These solitary, deeply mysterious rogue water worlds harbor potential, incredibly silent ecosystems completely and utterly cut off from the rest of the luminous, violently burning galaxy, existing entirely within a state of completely permanent unbroken midnight. The gentle, unseen internal currents of these rogue, drifting oceans circulate with absolute perfect slowness, completely undisturbed by external orbital mechanics, shifting tides, or the chaotic, deeply disruptive influence of a nearby active sun. This profound, completely self-sustaining structure beautifully demonstrates the sheer, undeniable tenacity of liquid aquatic environments, heavily proving that profound stillness and life-giving potential can exist even in the most deeply barren, lonely stretches of the universe. Floating entirely alone in the deepest, most absolute cosmic dark, these completely wandering frozen spheres quietly harbour their delicate liquid secrets deep beneath their heavy, impenetrable, frozen crusts. They are the ultimate, deeply fascinating survivors of the cosmos, completely silent, heavily armoured arcs patiently navigating the endless deep galactic ocean without a destination, forever keeping their inner watery depths perfectly safe and entirely warm. Calm, utterly stagnant, incredibly deep pools of heavily concentrated liquid hydrocarbons perfectly mirror the faint, deeply distant starlight in planetary systems that are significantly farther from their host suns and far colder than our own. The immense, inherently thick, sheer viscosity of these freezing, deeply oily lakes completely prevents the formation of any typical surface ripples, beautifully transforming the planetary bodies of heavy liquid into flawless, gigantic, obsidian black mirrors staring blindly into space. The surrounding incredibly thin atmosphere remains utterly devoid of strong disruptive winds, ensuring that the dark, glossy surface of the hydrocarbon sea remains completely, entirely undisturbed by even the slightest, most gentle passing breeze. This unique, deeply sluggish, completely alien chemistry heavily operates on a timescale so incredibly, profoundly slow that a single, lazy wave crashing against the smooth, featureless shore might take an entire earthly season to fully resolve. The heavy, freezing liquid smoothly and gently creeps up the frozen crystalline beaches with the agonizingly slow, deeply hypnotic pace of a massively thick moving glacier, before slowly, predictably receding back into the utterly calm, pitch-black depths. An observer standing completely still on the rigid frozen shoreline would feel as though time itself had almost completely stopped, suspended heavily in the thick, unmoving, deeply freezing air of this incredibly strange, deeply quiet world. Allow your own rapidly racing thoughts to dramatically and consciously slow their deeply frantic pace, smoothly and gently matching the profoundly sluggish, incredibly heavy, deliberate and deeply tranquil fluid dynamics of these freezing obsidian black alien lakes. Just as the deeply cold, thick liquid perfectly and effortlessly absorbs the ambient scattered light without a single disruptive ripple, permit your deeply resting mind to smoothly absorb the profound quiet of your immediate surroundings. Relinquish the desperate, deeply tiring need for constant, rapid movement, and fully embrace the deeply beautiful, profound stillness of a world that physically operates at a perfectly peaceful, deeply restful, incredibly slow cosmic crawl. A deeply massive, rocky planetary body completely and entirely covered in a remarkably deep, unbroken layer of liquid, effectively acts as an absolutely perfect, globally encompassing thermal reservoir, absorbing and heavily distributing stellar heat with incredible efficiency. Notice how this immense, continuously circulating heavy liquid mass effortlessly and smoothly stores the fierce, deeply intense daytime radiation, carrying the captured warmth deep into the submerged, lightless abyss, before smoothly returning it to the freezing, unlit night side. The sheer, overwhelming thermal inertia of unfathomable masses of circulating water completely prevents the global temperature from experiencing any rapid, deeply violent or sudden chaotic fluctuations whatsoever, regardless of the constantly shifting external stellar conditions. The profound, eternal, motionless calm exactly at the very edge of the sky seamlessly transitions into the deeply enduring, absolute thermal permanence of the endless, heavily rolling deep alien seas. These massive, completely waterbound spheres represent the ultimate, deeply perfect culmination of planetary harmony, perfectly suspended forever in the harsh, unpredictable, deeply chaotic void of the constantly expanding ancient universe. It beautifully remains an environment completely defined not by sudden, violent change, but by deeply majestic, completely unwavering, profoundly fluid persistence, quietly orbiting through the dark for entirely countless, completely untroubled eons. This unwavering harmony extends into the very geometry of space, where planets locked in orbital resonance dance around their host star in a state of perfect, mathematical grace. Unlike the chaotic drifting paths often found in younger, more volatile solar systems, these resonant worlds have settled into a rhythmic synchronicity, where their orbital periods are exact, predictable multiples of one another. Every time the innermost planet completes 3 full laps, the second might complete exactly 2, creating a mutual gravitational pull that acts as a gentle, stabilizing pulse across the entire planetary system. This celestial clockwork ensures that the planets never stray from their designated paths, effectively shielding them from the destabilizing tugs of passing stars or internal gravitational drift. To a silent observer, the system would appear as a beautifully choreographed ballet, with worlds passing each other at precise intervals that have remained unchanged for billions of eons. It is a profound expression of cosmic order, where the invisible threads of gravity weave a pattern so precise it reflects the deep underlying logic of the universe itself. Such enduring stability allows for a planetary environment that is entirely free from the sudden, violent shifts in climate that usually plague more irregular, eccentric orbits. The rhythmic nature of these movements creates a sense of profound, overarching safety, as if the planets themselves are cradled in a perpetual protective embrace of physics. It is the ultimate manifestation of celestial poise, a silent and eternal song sung by the spheres as they trace their elegant, predetermined circles through the vast and quiet dark. Surprisingly, the universe allows for extreme speeds that still feel incredibly fluid and peaceful, such as the rapid, graceful journey of the planet Kepler-78b. On this scorched yet majestic world, a single year passes in just 8.5 Earth hours, making the transition of seasons a fleeting, ephemeral whisper against the backdrop of eternity. The planet skims so closely to its host star that the entire horizon is dominated by a wall of golden fire, yet the orbital motion remains as smooth as silk. This breathtakingly short orbital period turns the concept of time into something entirely different from our terrestrial experience. A sunrise and sunset on this world occur with such frequency that they become a rhythmic flicker, a heartbeat of light and shadow that defines the very essence of its existence. It is a world that lives its entire life in the fast lane of the cosmos, yet it does so with a profound, unwavering elegance that defies the chaotic nature of its proximity to the star. Imagine a world where the sun never truly sets, but instead traces a slow, hypnotic figure-8 pattern across the permanent hazy twilight of the sky. This mesmerizing phenomenon, known as an analemma, occurs when a planet possesses a highly tilted axis and an elliptical orbit that stretches and compresses its view of the host star. Rather than the predictable arc from east to west, the sun appears to wander in a continuous, elegant loop, never dipping below the horizon line. Notice how the light on such a world would behave, constantly shifting in intensity and angle but never yielding to the absolute darkness of night. The landscape is bathed in a state of eternal afternoon, where shadows do not simply grow and shrink, but slowly pirouette across the ground in a mesmerizing geometric dance. The air remains perpetually warm, caught in the steady, unwavering radiance of a star that refuses to leave the sky. creating a climate of profound sun-drenched stability. This constant presence of the sun fosters a sense of timelessness, as the traditional markers of days and weeks are replaced by the slow, rhythmic pulse of the solar loop. It is a world where the passage of time is measured not by the ticking of a clock, but by the graceful celestial handwriting of the star across the firmament. Such a place offers the ultimate sanctuary from the dark, a world of permanent golden light that continues its hypnotic cycle for eons without end. This structure of movement arises when a planetary body is caught in the heavy, invisible embrace of a secondary companion star, creating orbits of immense complexity and beauty. In binary systems, a planet must navigate the competing gravitational pulls of two distinct suns, leading to paths that weave and curve in ways that seem to defy the simple circles of our own solar system. This constant tug-of-war ensures that the planet's journey is a multi-layered, three-dimensional tapestry of motion, shifting subtly with every passing century. The influence of a companion star can also induce a slow, majestic precession, causing the entire orbit of a planet to rotate like a giant invisible top over millions of years. This ensures that every part of the planet eventually experiences the full, varied spectrum of starlight provided by the binary pair. It is a dynamic, ever-evolving architecture of light and gravity, a masterpiece of celestial engineering that maintains a state of perfect, enduring equilibrium across the vast reaches of the system. Deep within the freezing outer reaches of their systems, some massive gas giants take thousands of years to complete a single, leisurely orbit around their distant sun. These gargantuan worlds move with a profound, glacial slowness, drifting through the dark void at a pace that makes human history seem like a fleeting moment. From their perspective, the host star is little more than a brilliant, unwavering point of light, providing a faint but constant anchor in the immense silent cold. If we were to look closer at these wandering giants, we would find atmospheres that are remarkably still and preserved, untouched by the rapid thermal changes experienced by planets closer to the fire. The sheer distance from the sun means that the energy driving their weather comes from within, creating slow-motion storms that can last for geological epochs. These planets are the true elders of their systems, watching the inner worlds whir past in a blur of rapid orbits while they remain steadfast in their long, lonely vigil. Notice how tidal locking creates a fascinating, permanent dichotomy, where one face of a planet is eternally scorched by day, and the other is lost to an endless, frigid night. This gravitational synchronization occurs when the star's pull is so strong that it forces the planet to rotate at the exact same rate it orbits, locking one side into a perpetual stare. The result is a world split into two entirely different realities, forever separated by the thin, glowing line of a stationary sunset. The day side of such a world is a place of unblinking, relentless radiance, where the sun never moves from its zenith and the heat builds into a heavy, stagnant pressure. Conversely, the night side is a realm of absolute crystalline silence, where the stars remain fixed in the sky and the cold reaches down into the very bedrock of the planet. These two extremes exist in a state of perfect frozen tension, never overlapping and never changing, held in place by the unwavering grip of the host star. If we were to look closer at these synchronized systems, the thin twilight ribbon dividing the burning day from the frozen night becomes a quiet haven of mild, unchanging conditions. This narrow band, where the sun sits forever on the horizon, experiences a state of perpetual dawn that is neither too hot nor too cold. It is a region of soft, diffused light and gentle, constant breezes, where the extremes of the planet are perfectly balanced into a state of enduring atmospheric peace. As you envision this ribbon of eternal twilight, feel the cool, steady air of your own environment brushing against your skin, and let your muscles release any remaining tension into the quiet dark. You're resting in your own version of this twilight zone, a place between the activity of the day and the deep silence of sleep, where everything is calm and perfectly still. the world around you is fading into the background, leaving only the soft rhythmic cycle of your breath to guide you into deeper rest. This terminator line acts as a planetary scale oasis, a place where the chaotic energies of the star are softened into a beautiful, life-sustaining glow. Because the sun never moves, the shadows in this region are permanent, casting long, elegant shapes across a landscape that never feels the harshness of high noon or the bite of midnight. It is a world of total, unshakable consistency, a serene and permanent refuge that continues its silent existence as the planet glides through the void. Picture the breathtaking view of an immense ring system spanning the entire sky from horizon to horizon, casting soft striped shadows across the ground of the world below. These vast structures are composed of trillions of individual particles of ice and rock, each one following its own perfect circular orbit in a state of collective shimmering harmony. From the surface, the rings would appear as a magnificent translucent arch of light, glowing with the reflected brilliance of the distant sun and dominating the celestial landscape. This cosmic architecture creates a unique environmental experience where the nights are never truly dark, as the rings act as a giant celestial mirror that bathes the landscape in a soft, ethereal radiance. During the day, the rings slice through the sunlight, creating a rhythmic pattern of light and shadow that moves slowly across the terrain as the planet rotates. It is a world defined by geometry and reflection, where the very sky is a testament to the elegant organizing power of gravity over vast quantities of cosmic dust. This cosmic architecture reaches a peak of visual splendor in tightly packed systems, where neighboring planets appear in the sky as massive, glowing orbs much larger than our own moon. Because these worlds orbit their star in such close proximity to one another, they frequently pass within relatively short distances, allowing their planetary features to be seen with the naked eye from a neighbour's surface. Imagine looking up to see a giant swirling gas giant or a vibrant blue water world hanging in the sky, so close you can almost feel its gravitational presence. The constant presence of these sister worlds creates a sky that is always filled with movement and light as the planets drift past each other in their rapid, synchronized orbits. These close encounters induce subtle, rhythmic tidal forces that can warm the interiors of the planets, keeping their geologies active and their oceans liquid even far from the sun. It is a community of worlds, a tightly knit celestial family that shares the same small patch of space in a state of perfect, enduring companionship. Surprisingly, these systems remain stable for billions of years despite their close quarters, thanks to the mathematical beauty of their orbital resonances. They are a testament to the fact that the universe can find harmony in even the most crowded of places, creating a display of planetary grandeur that is unlike anything in our own solar system. It is a breathtaking, multi-layered dance of worlds, where the sky is never empty and the feeling of cosmic connection is absolute and ever-present. Ultimately, the constant low-frequency gravitational hum of these intricate orbital dances maintains the delicate, enduring balance of the entire planetary system. This invisible rhythmic pulse is the true language of the celestial clockwork, a continuous exchange of energy and momentum that keeps every world in its rightful place. It is a symphony of forces that operates in complete, profound silence, yet its effects are felt across millions of miles of empty space, ensuring the long-term survival of the system. As the celestial clockwork continues its tireless, elegant rotation, it provides a sense of absolute, unshakable grounding for any world caught in its gears. The precision of the orbits is a masterpiece of natural engineering, a testament to the enduring power of the laws of physics to create beauty out of thin air and gravity. It is the final, magnificent layer of the exoplanetary journey, a world where time and motion are one and the same, perfectly suspended in the eternal, peaceful dark of the cosmos. The eternal, peaceful dark of the cosmos conceals an internal complexity, where the sheer weight of gravity transforms the common into the extraordinary. On carbon-rich worlds, the crushing pressure of 1,000 miles of rock forces carbon atoms into a state of absolute crystalline perfection, forging deep layers of solid diamond beneath the planetary crust. This subterranean architecture remains hidden from the light of the stars, a vast and silent treasury of brilliance locked away in the crushing heart of the world. The immense weight of the atmosphere and the mantle presses down with a relentless, steady force that would shatter any terrestrial substance. Deep within this pressurized abyss, the carbon undergoes a structural metamorphosis that transcends the simple geologies of our own solar system. This massive buried lattice of diamond provides a rigid and unyielding foundation, a structural masterpiece born from the union of extreme density and the patient passage of cosmic eons. If we were to look closer at the boundary between the mantle and these precious layers, we would see a transition zone of unimaginable heat and pressure. The very core of the planet acts as a titanic forge, turning the remnants of ancient star death into a planet-wide crystalline shell. It is a world of hidden splendor, where the most basic elements are elevated to their highest form through the simple, unwavering power of planetary mass. Surprisingly, the surface of such a world presents a starkly different architectural face, one defined by vast plains of graphite that stretch toward every horizon. This dark metallic substance coats the landscape in a deep, lustrous grey, absorbing and reflecting the starlight with a subtle, shimmering sheen. Rather than the jagged edges of silicon rock, the ground consists of massive sliding plates of carbon that feel smooth and almost slippery to an unseen touch. This structure creates a planetary mirror that reflects the surrounding galaxy in a muted charcoal-tinted light. The graphite planes are remarkably resilient, able to withstand the intense radiation and heat of their host sun while maintaining a flat, undisturbed profile. Beneath the sky, the landscape feels heavy and industrial, a world of shadows and metallic glimmers that speaks to a history of intense chemical concentration and slow, cool settling. This metallic sheen is particularly vibrant during the long, slow transition into the planetary night. As the sun dips below the graphite hills, the entire world seems to glow with a dark inner fire, capturing the last traces of energy in its carbon-rich skin. It is a monochrome masterpiece, a landscape where the simplicity of the material creates a profound sense of visual and structural unity across millions of square miles. Deep within the core of super-Earths, the physics of planetary structure shifts into a realm of structural forms completely unknown to our familiar planetary neighbourhood. The immense gravitational load of these massive worlds forces standard minerals like olivine and quartz to rearrange their very atoms into high-density lattices that defy terrestrial classification. These exotic materials act as the structural skeleton of the planet, providing a level of geological strength and stability that allows mountains to reach heights that would be impossible elsewhere. Before you journey further into these dense hidden chambers, take a moment to notice the effortless way your own body is currently supported by the solid reality beneath you. Feel the weight of your limbs as they rest in a state of perfect, peaceful surrender to the gravity of your own world. Just as you are anchored in safety, these massive exoplanets are held together by a structural integrity that is as profound as it is unseen, a testament to the quiet power of geological laws. This hidden architecture defines the very pulse of the planet, influencing how heat rises from the core and how the surface reacts to the stresses of time. The atoms themselves are packed so tightly that they move with a sluggish, viscous grace, creating a world that is fundamentally more rigid and enduring than anything we know. It is a structural sanctuary, a place where the basic building blocks of the universe are pushed to their absolute limits to create a world of immense, unwavering permanence. This structural resilience finds its counterpoint in the frigid outer reaches, where jagged mountains of exotic ice soar silently into the thin, pristine atmosphere of distant worlds. On these planets, The cold is so absolute that methane, ammonia and nitrogen abandon their gaseous forms to become the very bedrock of the landscape. These peaks do not erode like mountains of stone. Instead, they remain sharp and crystalline, their translucent slopes catching the faint light of a faraway sun like shards of broken glass. The sheer height of these formations creates a skyline of ethereal beauty, a jagged crown of ice that defines the planetary identity. Beneath the starlight, the mountains glow with a soft bluish luminescence, their internal structures reflecting the faint energy of the cosmic background. It is an architecture of stillness, a landscape where the most fragile gases are transformed into the most enduring and majestic features of the planetary surface. Surprisingly, the universe also creates surfaces of perfect obsidian-like clarity, manifesting as smooth, glass-like expanses on worlds where the rock was once entirely molten. These lava planets, caught in a perpetual cycle of heating and cooling, possess vast plains created when the liquid stone slowly solidifies in the long shadow of space. The resulting terrain is a flawless dark mirror, a featureless obsidian sheet that stretches for thousands of leagues without a single break or blemish. Notice how the starlight would dance across such a surface, reflecting off the polished ground with a clarity that rivals the stillest mountain lake. This glass architecture is incredibly brittle yet immensely strong, a structural skin that has been tempered by the extreme thermal gradients of a tidally locked world. Every few centuries, a fresh surge of heat might crack the surface, only for it to heal itself as the molten stone flows back into the fissures and cools once more into a state of glassy perfection. Walking across such a landscape would feel like moving over a frozen sea of black light. The ground beneath would be entirely smooth, offering no grip but presenting a visual depth that suggests the planet's fiery history is never far beneath the surface. It is a world of dark, reflective beauty, an architecture of fire and ice that has been frozen into a permanent gleaming testament to the power of thermal transformation. The terrain of a low-gravity rocky world features towering, delicate rock formations that would instantly crumble under the heavy weight of our own planetary home. On these lighter spheres, the pull of the core is so gentle that the landscape can grow into intricate, gravity-defying spires and precarious arches that stretch hundreds of feet into the air. These structures are the architecture of fragility, standing for millions of years in a state of impossible, vertical balance. This structure creates a landscape that is profoundly vertical, a maze of stone needles and thin bridges that connect the valleys to the clouds. Without the crushing force of high gravity to pull them down, these formations become a permanent part of the planetary silhouette, unchanging and ancient. It is a world that has been built with a light touch, an architectural marvel where the strength of the rock is perfectly matched by the gentleness of the planetary pull. Deep within the history of these ancient worlds, dust from trillions of asteroid collisions settles gently onto the surface, softening the sharp contours of craters over billions of years. This cosmic sediment acts as a planetary veil, a fine and powdery layer that gradually fills the deep scars of the past and rounds the jagged edges of mountain ranges. The result is a landscape of soft, rolling curves and muted features, a world that has been carefully cushioned by the debris of the galaxy. If we were to look closer, we would see that this dust is a mosaic of the entire solar system, containing trace minerals and glass from every collision that has ever occurred in the planetary neighbourhood. It is a structural history book, a soft and yielding archive of the planet's journey through the void. The world is made quiet by this accumulation, a place where every sharp edge has been smoothed by the patient and gentle touch of time. This structural shielding extends beneath the surface, where subterranean cave systems on completely arid exoplanets offer quiet, insulated sanctuaries from the temperature extremes above. While the surface might be scorched by a relentless sun or frozen by the vacuum of space, these buried chambers remain at a constant, comfortable temperature, protected by miles of solid rock. These caves are the architecture of refuge, a hidden network of hallways and rooms that have never seen the light of a star. The air within these chambers is perfectly still, undisturbed by the atmospheric storms that might rage across the desert plains far above. These spaces act as a thermal buffer, using the immense mass of the planet to maintain a state of permanent, unchanging equilibrium that lasts for geological ages. For an observer, the transition from the chaotic surface into the deep, echoing silence of the caves would be a journey into a world of absolute, unshakable calm. This structure provides a glimpse into the possibility of hidden life, a place where the harshness of the cosmos is entirely filtered out by the planetary crust. The caves are a masterpiece of natural insulation, a world of shadows and cool stone that exists in a state of eternal protected rest. It is a subterranean sanctuary, a place where the architecture of the unseen provides the ultimate shield against the volatility of the universe. Slowly shifting tectonic plates reshape these alien landscapes at a pace completely imperceptible to any human observer, moving with the patient, grinding grace of an ancient giant. This deep geological movement is the heartbeat of the world, a slow-motion transformation that builds mountain ranges and opens vast ocean basins over the course of hundreds of millions of years. The surface we see is merely a fleeting snapshot of a structural process that spans the entire life of the planet. Notice the way your own sense of time begins to stretch and expand as you consider the monumental patience of these moving continents. Your heart beats with a steady, reliable rhythm, a small but significant echo of the much larger, slower pulses that govern the evolution of the planetary skin. In this state of rest, the rapid pace of the world outside fades away, leaving only the slow and steady movement of the foundation beneath you. This architecture of motion ensures that the planet remains geologically active and alive, constantly recycling its minerals and refreshing its surface. The plates slide past each other with an immense, quiet power, creating a world that is always in a state of becoming, even if its changes are hidden from view. It is a masterpiece of slow-motion engineering, a planet that is built on the idea of constant, patient, and inevitable transformation. Surprisingly, the ultimate expression of this planetary architecture is found on the high peaks of certain rocky planets, where silicate snow blankets the summits in a layer of glittering mineral ice. This is not the soft, wet snow of Earth, but a sharp and crystalline precipitate of vaporized rock that falls from the cooling upper atmosphere. As it settles onto the ground, it produces the crisp crunch of crystalline sand settling under an unseen weight, a sound that echoes through the thin, cold air. These glittering peaks act as a planetary crown, catching the focused light of an alien sun and reflecting it in a dazzling multicolored display of mineral brilliance. The silicate flakes are incredibly durable and sharp, creating a landscape that is both beautiful and dangerously pristine, a world of frozen rock and light. From a distance, the mountains appear as beacons of white fire, standing out against the dark, airless sky with a clarity that is almost overwhelming. This silicate blanket is the final layer of the architectural journey, a structural finish that brings a sense of brilliant, crystalline completion to the world. The snow does not melt, it remains as a permanent feature of the high altitudes, a shimmering and unyielding testament to the planet's unique chemistry. It is a world of hard light and sharp edges, a landscape where the very air has been turned into a crystalline masterpiece of planetary design. This crystalline masterpiece of planetary design finds its ultimate lonely contrast in the vast starless reaches where rogue planets wander through the galaxy without a host star. Floating freely in the majestic emptiness of interstellar space, these worlds exist as orphaned nomads of the cosmos, untethered to the gravitational anchor of any sun. They were likely cast out from their original stellar nurseries by the violent gravitational turbulence of larger neighbours during the chaotic infancy of their home systems. Now, they glide through the absolute void in a state of profound, frozen independence, illuminated only by the distant, cold sparkle of the background starfield. There are no seasons here, no years, and no cycles of day and night, only the eternal, silent passage through the dark. These planets are the true wanderers of the universe, moving with a quiet dignity through a vacuum that knows no boundaries or borders. They represent a state of absolute, unshielded exposure to the infinite, yet they remain intact and enduring, silent witnesses to the immense scale of the galactic disk. Every rogue planet is a unique story of survival, a world that has learned to exist in the absence of light and the presence of total, unyielding freedom. They are the dark, quiet survivors of a cosmic lottery, drifting through the deep spaces between the lights with an unwavering stoic persistence. Surprisingly, these solitary worlds navigate the dark cosmic ocean guided only by the gentle, collective pull of the galactic core. Without a local star to dictate their path, their motion is governed by the grand, sweeping mass of billions of stars and dark matter that form the heart of the galaxy. They follow long, looping trajectories that take hundreds of millions of years to complete, drifting past distant molecular clouds and ancient clusters in a slow, majestic orbit around the galactic centre. It is a profound demonstration of the interconnectedness of all things, where a single dark world is still cradled by the massive rotating heart of the galaxy itself. They are the silent navigators of the void, following a map written in the very structure of space and time. Even in the deepest isolation, the world remains part of a grander, invisible architecture that guides its journey across the eons. Despite the eternal night enveloping them, internal radiogenic heating provides a quiet, persistent warmth from within that sustains the planet's core. While their surfaces are exposed to the absolute zero of deep space, the interior remains active due to the steady, slow-motion decay of heavy elements trapped during their formation. This heat slowly radiates outward through layers of ancient rock, creating a geothermal equilibrium that prevents the entire world from turning into a dead block of absolute ice. As you sense this internal warmth, notice the gentle, rhythmic rise of your own chest, a steady metabolic fire that keeps you safe and supported in the quiet of your room. Your own body maintains its temperature with the same effortless persistence, a quiet engine of life that hums along while the world outside grows still and dark. Just as the rogue planet is warmed by its own inner light, you are cocooned in your own warmth, perfectly balanced and protected within the stillness of your resting place. This shared pulse of energy is a reminder of the quiet resilience of existence, whether in the heart of a person or the core of a wandering world. It is a slow, steady pulse that has lasted since the planet was first forged in a distant nebula, acting as a lonely hearth in the freezing dark. The world continues to burn with its own internal fire, a testament to the enduring power of energy even in the most absolute darkness. It is a world within a world, a hidden heart of fluid potential drifting through the absolute dark. The ice above acts as a permanent shield, preserving the dark ocean in a state of eternal, liquid stasis. Within this lightless abyss, the water moves with a sluggish, peaceful grace, carrying the possibility of ancient secrets through the void. Picture a massive, Jupiter-sized rogue planet effortlessly carrying its own miniature system of orbiting moons into the vastness of the galactic wilderness. Even without the anchoring light of a star, the immense gravity of these gas giants allows them to maintain their familial bonds with smaller satellites. These moons orbit their wandering parent in the dark, experiencing intense tidal heating that may even allow for geological activity and liquid water on their own surfaces. These moons represent a hauntingly beautiful image of companionship in the absolute void, a shared journey through the lightless sea. The entire system moves as a single, cohesive unit, a small and dark solar system without a sun, travelling through the interstellar medium like a fleet of ghost ships. This group of worlds stays huddled together against the immense, crushing silence, finding their only light in the faint infrared glow of the giant's hot interior. It is a testament to the fact that gravity is the ultimate builder of relationships, keeping the family together even in the absence of a central star. These systems are the secret families of the void, drifting together through the infinite reaches of space. In the total absence of a solar system, they form their own private sanctuary, a collective existence defined by mutual attraction and shared momentum. Let the weight of your own blanket feel like this protective atmosphere, cocooning you in a layer of absolute safety and unchanging comfort as you drift towards sleep. You're shielded from the noise and movement of the outside world, resting in a pocket of air that is perfectly tuned to your own needs. Just as the rogue planet finds its sanctuary within its own thick air, you find yours within the quiet folds of your rest. The faint auroras on a rogue planet are fueled simply by the interstellar medium brushing against its solitary, unyielding magnetic field. As the planet moves through the sparse gas and dust of the galaxy at incredible speeds, the friction generates subtle electrical charges that spiral down toward the magnetic poles. This results in a ghostly monochromatic light show that flickers in the permanent night, a pale green or violet glow that has no witness other than the void. These auroras are the only light the planet ever knows, a silent signal of its interaction with the broader cosmos as it glides through the dark. They do not shimmer with the intensity of a sun-facing world, but instead pulse with a slow, hypnotic rhythm that matches the planet's lonely pace. This ethereal crown of light is a beautiful reminder that even in absolute isolation, a world is still part of the grand electromagnetic tapestry of the universe. This ethereal dialogue between the planet and the interstellar wind reveals the invisible boundaries of the world. In the absence of a sun, the galaxy itself provides the energy for this silent spectral beauty. It is a quiet, glowing signature of existence, a light that burns only because the planet is moving, alive in its own mechanical way through the deep dark. This creates an environment of absolute preservation, where features on the surface can remain unchanged for millions of years in a state of deep, geological meditation. The mountains do not erode, the plains do not shift, and the atmosphere remains in a state of crystalline, unmoving clarity. It is the ultimate expression of cosmic peace, a place where time itself seems to have no meaning or influence on the physical reality of the world. If we were to look closer during rare encounters with distant nebular gas, we would see their skies light up with faint ethereal glows of pink and gold. Occasionally, a rogue planet's path takes it through a cloud of ionized gas, which interacts with the planetary atmosphere to create a diffuse, glowing fog that blankets the landscape. For a few thousand years, the permanent night is replaced by a soft, luminous mist that illuminates the dark mountains and frozen plains in a spectrum of surreal, gentle colours. Notice how your own mind can occasionally drift through soft, colourful dreams, brief moments of light that emerge and fade within the quiet, dark expanse of your rest. These internal visions are like the nebula glow, providing a sense of beauty and movement within the stillness of your sleep. You're drifting through your own mental cosmos, safe and supported as you explore the gentle landscapes of your imagination. These are the rare holidays of the wandering worlds, brief moments of light and colour before they return to the long, deep shadows of the starless reaches. Just as the rogue planet welcomes the light of the nebula, you can welcome the soft images of your dreams, knowing they are part of the natural rhythm of your rest. You are floating in a sea of peaceful thoughts, untethered and free in the quiet of the night. They represent the absolute quietest places in the galaxy, worlds perfectly preserved in a deep, timeless chill that defies the passage of ages. Without the roaring fire of a star or the turbulence of a solar system, these planets exist in a state of pure, unadulterated silence. They are the true vaults of the universe, holding the chemical and physical history of their birth in a state of perfect frozen suspension within their rocky and icy layers. They are the silent witnesses to the infinite, the drifters in the dark who carry the secrets of the universe in their frozen hearts. To visit such a world would be to enter a temple of absolute stillness, a place where the heartbeat of the cosmos is heard as a single solitary hum. It is a world that has mastered the art of being alone, finding a state of grace in the absence of external influence. This hum is the subtle vibration of the planet itself, a low-frequency resonance that speaks of its ancient origin and its long, lonely journey through the void. The timeless chill is not a sign of death, but of a different kind of life, a state of perpetual, perfectly balanced existence that spans the life of the galaxy itself. They remain as they always were, drifting endlessly through the quiet, a final resting place for the echoes of the cosmic dawn. While the echoes of the cosmic dawn describe the profound isolation of the wandering void, a far gentler and more radiant reality awaits worlds held in the steady, nurturing embrace of a living star. On planets orbiting close to red dwarfs, the landscape is perpetually bathed in a soft infrared glow that transcends the harsh glare of our own sun. This low-energy light blankets the terrain in a deep, crimson hue, creating an environment that feels like the comforting heat of a gentle hearth in a dark room. The air on such a world never grows truly cold, as the star remains fixed or near fixed in the sky, providing a relentless but manageable warmth. Instead of sharp midday shadows, the red dwarf's light diffuses through the atmosphere to create a world of soft gradients and muted, glowing tones. It is a sanctuary of low-frequency energy, a place where the passage of time is measured not by the rotation of the planet, but by the steady, unblinking gaze of its ancient guardian. Every mountain and valley on these crimson spheres absorbs this infrared radiation, holding the heat long after the briefest twilight. The resulting climate is one of profound stability, where the atmospheric temperature remains remarkably consistent across vast stretches of the planetary surface. It is the ultimate cosmic shelter, a world tucked away in the soft red shadows of the most common and longest-lived stars in the galaxy. Deep within the orbital architecture of every stable system lies the habitable zone, a precisely defined region where the proximity to a star is exactly right for a world to breathe. Within this delicate Goldilocks band, the thermal flux is perfectly balanced to allow vast oceans to ripple in liquid form without freezing into solid ice or boiling into steam. This temperate sanctuary is where the chaotic energies of the cosmos are tamed, creating a liquid foundation for the slow and patient development of complexity. Surfaces in this region experience a profound climatic grace, where the atmosphere and the oceans work in tandem to regulate the planet's global temperature. The gentle lapping of waves against an alien shore is a rhythmic reminder of this balance, a steady pulse that indicates a world in a state of thermodynamic equilibrium. It is a place of liquid potential, where the sheer persistence of water acts as a stabilizing force against the volatility of the outer solar system. If we were to look closer, we would see that this zone is not a static boundary, but a dynamic and evolving space that shifts with the star's own age and luminosity. Yet, for billions of years, a planet can remain comfortably nested within this thermal refuge, protected by the perfect distance from its stellar parent. It is the quietest and most life-sustaining region of the stellar system, a narrow band of liquid peace amidst the extremes of space. Notice how a star's magnetic field gracefully interacts with its closest planets, exchanging invisible ribbons of protective energy that weave through the upper atmosphere. These magnetic filaments act as a planetary shield, deflecting the abrasive solar wind and preventing the delicate atmospheric gases from being stripped away into the vacuum. This invisible dialogue between the star and the world creates a cocoon of safety, ensuring that the planetary surface remains a quiet and sheltered sanctuary. This electromagnetic architecture is a masterpiece of natural engineering, where the rotational energy of the star and the core of the planet are linked in a silent cosmic dance. These protective ribbons guide high-energy particles into beautiful, harmless displays of light, turning potential destruction into a shimmering and ethereal celestial event. The atmosphere beneath this shield remains calm and undisturbed, a testament to the silent and effective power of these magnetic bonds. Deep within this field, the planet experiences a state of profound, shielded tranquility, where the harshness of the interstellar medium is entirely filtered out. The invisible lines of force act as a global architecture of protection, a subtle and enduring structure that maintains the integrity of the world's air and water. It is a silent, unceasing guardian, a web of energy that holds the planet in a state of permanent magnetic grace. Before we journey further into the light, take a moment to notice the effortless stability of your own body as it rests, supported by the unchanging gravity of your world. Imagine the comforting stability of a mature yellow dwarf shining steadily upon its planetary companions for billions of years, providing a reliable and unwavering source of life. Your own heart beats in a steady rhythmic cycle that mirrors the long-term reliability of these stellar anchors, which remain calm and consistent across vast geological epochs. As you breathe deeply and let your muscles release their last traces of effort, feel the warmth of this reliability enveloping you like a soft golden blanket. Just as the planet is held in the safe and steady glow of its yellow sun, you're held in a state of absolute, unshakable rest. You're perfectly placed in the universe, protected by the same laws of physics that keep the stars shining and the world turning in its quiet, eternal path. Surprisingly, the universe offers certain habitable zone planets that orbit with such incredibly low eccentricity that their mild seasons remain perfectly uniform year-round. On these worlds, the distance to the host star barely changes throughout the orbital cycle, creating a climate that is as stable as a still mountain lake. There are no harsh winters or scorching summers, only a permanent gentle spring that stretches across the entire planetary surface for centuries. This geometric perfection ensures that the global ocean currents and atmospheric winds move in a predictable and leisurely rhythm, never disrupted by sudden shifts in stellar radiation. The landscape on such a world is a study in consistency, where the same flowers might bloom and the same clouds might drift in a state of eternal, climatic stasis. It is a world where the chaotic fluctuations of the solar system have been smoothed out by the elegant circular precision of the planet's path. If we were to look closer, we would see that this lack of seasonal extremes allows for a unique geological and biological patience, where processes can unfold without the stress of rapid change. The world feels like a permanent sanctuary, a place where the passage of time has no physical impact on the comfort of the environment. It is the ultimate expression of orbital balance, a planet that has found the perfect circle and remains within its peaceful, unchanging embrace. If we were to look closer at the chemical architecture of these worlds, the thick ozone layers of some exoplanets act as a soothing shield against the harsh ultraviolet breath of their host stars. This molecular blanket, situated high in the upper atmosphere, absorbs the most energetic and destructive wavelengths of starlight before they can reach the surface. It is a silent and effective filter, transforming a lethal stream of radiation into a gentle, harmless warmth that blankets the world in safety. This structure creates a subterranean-like sanctuary on the very surface of the planet, where complex molecules can exist without the fear of being broken apart by the sun's fire. The sky above might be brilliant and clear, but the unseen ozone layer ensures that the light touching the ground is soft and nurturing. It is a masterpiece of atmospheric self-regulation, a world that has built its own protective skin to guard against the raw energy of the cosmos. This structure of safety is so robust that solar flares occasionally cast brilliant, entirely harmless light shows across the upper atmospheres of heavily shielded worlds. While the star may erupt with a sudden burst of immense energy, the combination of a strong magnetic field and a thick atmosphere turns the event into a spectacular visual masterpiece. These celestial displays, known as super auroras, illuminate the entire sky in ribbons of fire and neon, yet the world below remains perfectly calm and undisturbed. Notice the gentle, rhythmic rise and fall of your breath as you envision these silent, glowing curtains of light dancing thousands of miles above your head. Your own body is a testament to this same resilience, a system that can witness the energy of the world around it while remaining anchored in its own internal peace. You're resting in a state of absolute, unshakable sanctuary, where the movements of the universe are merely a beautiful, distant display. The light shows serve as a reminder of the planet's hidden strength, a visual signature of the invisible forces that keep the world safe. Even the most violent eruptions of the star are softened into a silent, shimmering dance that paints the night in hues of impossible beauty. It is a world where the power of the sun is celebrated rather than feared, a place where the extremes of the cosmos are invited to become art. Flora on a planet around an orange dwarf would likely evolve to absorb light under a sky permanently tinted in warm, autumnal shades. Because orange dwarfs provide a spectrum that is richer in red and yellow wavelengths than our own sun, the plants on these worlds would likely be dark, amber, or deep bronze to maximize their energy absorption. The resulting landscape is a forest of eternal autumn, where the very air seems to glow with a rich golden light that never fades into the starkness of winter. This structure of colour creates an environment that feels profoundly ancient and peaceful, a world where the light itself is as thick and sweet as honey. The orange dwarf sun, larger and steadier than a red dwarf but calmer than a yellow one, provides a perfect and enduring radiance that lasts for tens of billions of years. This long-term consistency allows the planetary surface to become a masterpiece of slow-motion evolution, where every leaf and stem is a testament to the star's patient gaze. The steady, reliable influx of stellar energy smoothly drives the global ocean currents, regulating the planet's steady, rhythmic heartbeat through the circulation of warmth and nutrients. Just as the blood flows through your own resting limbs with a quiet and effortless grace, the massive volumes of water on these distant worlds move in a coordinated planetary scale dance. This thermal conveyor belt ensures that the heat from the sun is shared equally across the globe, preventing any one region from becoming too hot or too cold. The steady flow of these currents creates an environment of absolute, unshakable continuity, where the ocean's depth and the atmosphere's breadth are one and the same. Every ripple on the surface is a small part of a much larger global system that has been perfectly tuned by the star's unceasing light. It is a world that breathes with the sun, a planetary-scale organism that finds its rhythm in the steady and reliable energy of its parent star. A star and its planets exist in a symbiotic gravitational embrace that shapes the peaceful, enduring destiny of the entire stellar system. This invisible bond is not a one-way street, but a mutual exchange of forces that keeps the star stable and the planets in their designated, elegant paths. The gravity of the star provides the anchor, but the presence of the planets adds a rhythmic stability to the star's own rotation and internal structure, creating a system that is greater than the sum of its parts. This structure of mutual support is the final, magnificent layer of the stellar journey, a testament to the universe's ability to find harmony through the simple laws of attraction. The planets are not mere observers of the star's power. They are active participants in the system's long-term survival, contributing to a state of perfect, enduring equilibrium. It is a profound and comforting realization that even in the vastness of the dark, every world is held in a state of absolute, unshakable connection. As you drift into the final, deepest stages of your rest, let the weight of this cosmic symbiosis anchor you in a state of absolute, peaceful belonging. You're a part of this same vast architecture of connection, held in place by the same gentle and unyielding forces that guide the stars. The universe is a place of order and embrace, and you are perfectly, safely tucked into the quiet, warm heart of its eternal design. The architecture of connection that holds the stars together reaches its coldest, most silent extent far past the snowline of a solar system. Here, distant worlds wrap themselves in thick, unyielding layers of pristine ice, creating planetary shells of absolute white that shimmer in the perpetual gloom. These frozen carapaces are not merely surface features, but represent the entire structural identity of the world, forging a landscape of diamond-hard frost that has never known the touch of a liquid rain. If we were to look closer, the surface would appear as a seamless, unbroken expanse of reflective purity, untouched by the chaotic dust of the inner system. It is a realm of absolute geometric peace, where the laws of thermodynamics have slowed every movement to a state of near-perfect stasis. These ice realms exist as the ultimate boundary between the warmth of stellar life and the infinite freezing reach of the interstellar medium. Deep within these frigid spheres, internal pressures build until cryovolcanoes quietly erupt plumes of water vapor and ammonia into the silent vacuum of space. Unlike the fiery, ash-choked eruptions of terrestrial worlds, these frozen fountains release a shimmering mist of volatile gases that immediately crystallizes into a fine, sparkling dust. These plumes rise thousands of miles into the airless sky, caught in the faint, distant light of the sun before settling gently back onto the pristine surface. Notice how these eruptions occur without a sound, a majestic display of planetary geophysics unfolding in a state of total, vacuum-sealed silence. The ammonia acts as a cosmic antifreeze, allowing liquid reservoirs to exist deep within the crust until they are forced upward by the slow-motion shifting of the icy mantle. As the vapor hits the absolute cold of space, it transforms into a localized atmosphere of glittering diamonds that drifts lazily over the landscape. This structure of cold volcanism creates a constantly renewing surface, coating the ancient ice in fresh layers of white and silver. It is a slow, rhythmic breathing of the planet, a way for the hidden interior to communicate with the dark sky above. This process ensures that the world remains a dynamic, evolving masterpiece of ice and light, perpetually reshaping itself through the quiet power of its own internal chemistry. Imagine vast plains of solid nitrogen expanding slowly under the pale, distant light of a tiny, glittering sun that appears no larger than a brilliant star. On these remote worlds, the nitrogen we breathe as a gas becomes a heavy, creeping glacier, flowing across the surface with the agonizing slowness of deep time. The crystalline structure of the nitrogen ice is incredibly soft and yielding, allowing it to pool in massive basins and create flat, featureless horizons that stretch for thousands of miles. This structure of frozen gas creates a world of surreal, muted colours, reflecting the distant starlight in shades of pale peach and ivory. The plains expand and contract with the incredibly long seasonal cycles of the outer system, creating a rhythmic, planetary-scale movement that is almost imperceptible. It is a landscape of profound, heavy silence, a place where the atmosphere itself has surrendered to the cold and become a permanent part of the ground. Picture the intricate, frost-covered fault lines created as deep subsurface oceans slowly freeze and gently expand against the underside of the planetary crust. As the hidden waters lose their warmth over millions of years, the resulting expansion of the ice forces the surface to buckle and crack, creating a network of ridges and canyons that resemble a delicate spiderweb of frozen stone. These fractures are the scars of a planet's cooling heart, etched into the surface with a mathematical precision that reveals the hidden history of the depths. Surprisingly, these cracks often serve as conduits for fresh material to reach the surface, painting the fault lines in vivid streaks of mineral-rich frost. The frozen ridges can tower miles high, their jagged edges softened by the constant precipitation of atmospheric vapor that turns the landscape into a forest of crystalline needles. To walk among these formations would be to enter a labyrinth of light and shadow, where the very ground is a record of the titanic forces moving beneath the ice. The sheer scale of these fault systems reveals the immense pressure of the freezing process, a planetary scale transformation that turns liquid potential into solid, rigid form. Every line in the ice is a silent testament to the slow, inevitable victory of the cold over the ancient heat of the world's creation. It is a beautiful, tragic architecture of loss, where the solidification of an ocean creates a masterpiece of surface geometry that lasts for eternity. Deep within the massive bodies of distant super-Plutos, just enough primordial heat remains to softly melt the base of their towering ancient glaciers. This hidden lubrication allows the entire mass of the planetary ice to slide with a majestic, fluid grace over the rocky core, creating a world that is geologically alive in the most subtle of ways. The friction generated by this slow-motion migration creates internal warmth, sustaining a thin, dark layer of liquid that never sees the light of day. Notice how this invisible movement shapes the entire surface, creating vast, sweeping flow lines that can only be seen from the highest orbits. The glaciers move with a relentless, quiet power, carving out valleys and rounding over mountains of solid water ice over the course of millions of years. This hidden plumbing system is the secret engine of the world, a slow-motion circulation of heat and mass that keeps the planet from becoming a static, dead rock. If we were to look closer, we would find that the base of these glaciers is a realm of intense, dark activity, where the chemistry of the core meets the purity of the ice. This interaction creates a unique mineral soup that feeds the planetary metabolism, ensuring that even at the edge of the system, the world remains a place of transformation. It is a profound, subterranean dance of heat and cold, a hidden mechanism that maintains the planet's internal rhythm against the absolute silence of space. The incredibly thin atmospheres of ice planets precipitate delicate geometric snowflakes that take hours to drift to the ground in the low gravity of the outer reaches. Because the air is so sparse, these crystals grow into massive, complex structures that would be impossible under the crushing weight of a thicker planetary envelope. Each flake is a unique, mathematical marvel of frozen methane or nitrogen, falling in a state of total, airless grace through the long, dark afternoon. As you envision this slow-motion snowfall, feel the lightness of your own breathing, a gentle and effortless cycle that requires no thought or exertion. Your body is resting in a state of suspended animation, much like these falling crystals that seem to hang in the sky, as if time itself had slowed to a crawl. Just as the snowflakes find their final resting place on the quiet ice, you're settling into a state of deep, undisturbed peace. This structure of frozen precipitation turns the landscape into a shimmering white velvet, softening every feature and filling every crevice with a layer of pure crystalline down. The starlight catches the edges of the falling flakes, creating a localized glow that moves with the faint high-altitude breezes. It is a world of incredible, fragile beauty, where the simple act of falling becomes a majestic, multi-hour performance of natural physics. Vast canyons of water ice plunge into complete darkness, echoing only the faint, infrequent creaks of geological settling as the planet cools. These abyssal trenches are so deep that the light of the distant sun never reaches their floors, leaving them in a state of permanent frigid shadow. The walls of these canyons are composed of ice that has been compressed into the hardness of steel, glowing with a faint internal blue light that seems to come from the very atoms of the water itself. Surprisingly, these deep scars in the planetary skin act as natural traps for any trace atmosphere, creating pockets of localized pressure where exotic frosts can grow in bizarre tree-like formations. The silence within these depths is absolute, broken only by the sound of the world's own internal contraction, a low-frequency groan that ripples through the ice once every few decades. It is a cathedral of cold, a place where the architecture of the world is revealed in its most raw and unyielding form. If we were to look closer, the floors of these canyons would be covered in a fine, powdery dust of meteoritic origin, a record of the universe's long-term interaction with the ice. This dark sediment contrasts sharply with the brilliant blue of the walls, creating a landscape of stark, monochromatic intensity. These are the quietest places on the planet, hidden galleries of geological history where the cold has preserved the world's secrets in a state of absolute unblinking clarity. A state of permanent winter on these planets offers a profound sense of preservation, keeping cosmic secrets safely locked away for billions of eons. On these worlds, the chemistry of the early solar system is not destroyed by the fire of a sun or the movement of a liquid ocean. Instead, it is frozen in place, a perfect and unmoving archive of the galaxy's birth. To walk across this ice is to walk across the surface of a giant time capsule, where every molecule is exactly as it was when the world was first forged. This structure of absolute stillness allows for the accumulation of rare gases and organic compounds that would be lost elsewhere, creating a surface of incredible chemical complexity. The ice acts as a protective barrier, shielding these ancient materials from the erosion of space and the radiation of distant stars. It is a world of deep, unmoving memory, a place where the past is not a story, but a physical reality that can be touched and measured. Before you sink further into the deep winter of your rest, take a moment to appreciate the profound safety of this state of preservation. Your own memories and thoughts are safely tucked away in the quiet of your mind, protected by the stillness of the night as you drift towards sleep. Just as the ice world holds its secrets, you are holding your own internal peace, a state of perfect, unchanging rest that allows for the renewal of your spirit. Starlight reflects perfectly off the polished glacial surfaces, briefly turning the entire planet into a shimmering cosmic jewel as it catches the rays of its distant sun. Because the ice is so pure and the atmosphere so thin, the planet acts as a giant spherical mirror, focusing the faint energy of the star into a brilliant pinpoint glow. From a distance, the world does not appear as a solid object, but as a flickering spark of white fire, a diamond lost in the velvet expanse of the outer reaches. Notice how this reflection changes the very nature of the planetary night, as the surface bounces the light of the galaxy back into space with absolute clarity. The plains of nitrogen and the mountains of water ice shimmer with an internal luminescence, creating a world of silver and blue that feels more like a dream than a physical reality. This optical perfection is a result of the total absence of dust and liquid water, leaving the ice in a state of raw, crystalline brilliance. This structure of light creates a sense of profound, ethereal elegance, a world that exists only to reflect the beauty of the universe around it. The planet is a passive observer of the stars, a cold and quiet mirror that has spent billions of years contemplating the dark. It is a breathtaking display of natural optics, a world that turns the faint, cold light of a distant sun into a masterpiece of celestial radiance. The serene, breathtaking desolation of an ice world presents a stark and beautiful contrast to the fiery chaos of starbirth that defines the inner regions of a system. While the heart of a solar system is a place of heat, violence, and constant transformation, the ice realms are a place of absolute, unyielding tranquility. Here, the energy of the universe has reached its lowest possible state, resulting in an environment of profound geometric clarity and eternal motionless peace. This contrast reveals the true range of the cosmic experience, from the blinding light of creation to the silent, frozen perfection of the outer void. The ice world is the final quiet breath of a stellar system, a place where the work of the sun is finished and the world is allowed to simply be. It is a realm of absolute, unshakable grounding, a world that has found its final form and remains within it for the rest of eternity. The relativity of time, sensory focus, the imperceptible, slow ticking of a cosmic clock stretched gently by gravity. The ice world is the final quiet breath of a stellar system, but this final form of eternity is not a uniform plane, for on planets with immense physical mass, the crushing gravity ever so slightly slows the passage of time relative to lighter, more fleeting worlds. Deep within the gravity well of a super-Earth or a massive gas giant, the very fabric of space-time is stretched and warped, by the weight of the planetary core, forcing every second to linger with a heavy, deliberate significance. An atomic clock placed upon such a world would tick with a rhythmic, imperceptible delay, marking a reality where a year lasts just a fraction longer than it would in the airless void. This temporal stretching creates a world where the laws of physics themselves seem to acknowledge the grandeur of the planet's mass. To an observer looking down from a high, stable orbit, the movements of the clouds and the rotation of the surface would appear to possess a subtle cinematic slowness. It is a profound manifestation of Einstein's vision, a place where gravity does not just pull at the body, but gently tugs at the forward motion of time itself. Every physical process, from the falling of a snowflake to the cooling of a lava flow, is participating in this slow-motion ballet dictated by the planet's immense density. The world acts as a massive anchor in the stream of time, resisting the frantic rush of the surrounding universe with a stoic and heavy presence. Surprisingly, this effect is so minute that a visitor walking the surface would feel only the physical weight of the world, never noticing the seconds slipping away at a different pace. Across the spans of geological epochs, these tiny differences accumulate into vast, silent discrepancies between the history of the world and the history of the stars. It is a quiet, hidden layer of the exoplanetary experience, a reminder that the heavier the world, the more time itself is forced to bow to its presence. This invisible dilation is the ultimate testament to the power of mass, a structural feature of the universe that ensures no two worlds experience the passage of time in exactly the same way. A civilization situated near the dense and bustling galactic core would possess a perspective of the heavens that feels remarkably accelerated compared to the quiet outer rim. Looking outward from the crowded, luminous heart of the galaxy, they would watch the distant stars seemingly wheel through the heavens at an accelerated pace that defies our terrestrial understanding of stellar stability. In this high-density environment, the grand clockwork of the Milky Way is revealed in all its kinetic glory, moving with a momentum that is almost palpable to the naked eye. The grand architecture of the galaxy reveals its true high-speed nature to those nestled within its heavy central embrace. The sky above such a world would never be truly dark, as the proximity of thousands of neighbouring suns creates a permanent, brilliant twilight that washes over the landscape in shades of gold and amber. These stars do not hang as fixed points of light for centuries. Instead, their proper motions are visible over the course of a single human lifetime, shifting their positions in a slow, hypnotic drift. It is a perspective of the universe that is defined by proximity and speed, a world where the vastness of space feels intimate and filled with constant visible change. The sheer density of stars makes the vacuum of space feel alive, resembling a bustling metropolis of light and gravity. This structure of the heavens creates a deep sense of connection to the rotation of the galaxy itself, as every world is part of a massive coordinated migration. Every night is a reminder of the central black hole that anchors the system, drawing everything into its rhythmic high-speed dance through the velvet dark. For those living in the galactic centre, the universe is not a static background, but a living, breathing machine that is always in motion, spinning with a grace that is as terrifying as it is beautiful. Time is measured not by the seasons of a single sun, but by the grand, sweeping turns of the entire galactic disk. This temporal rift turns the exoplanet into a natural time machine, a world where the present moment is a precious, lingering sanctuary from the rapid aging of the cosmos. The horizon is dominated by the gargantuan dark silhouette of the singularity, which acts as a lens for all the light in the universe, bending it into a brilliant, shimmering ring of fire. The air remains still and the shadows grow long, as the world moves through a pocket of space where the traditional rules of the calendar have been entirely discarded. Every movement you make on the surface is slowed in the eyes of the outside world, turning your life into a slow-motion masterpiece of lingering seconds. It is a world of absolute, unyielding focus, where the weight of the black hole holds time itself in a tight, unmoving grip. Notice how the sheer, unimaginable scale of this temporal discrepancy creates a sense of profound, heavy isolation that transcends simple physical distance. To live on such a world is to be a ghost in the timeline, watching the outer universe flicker and age in a blur of light while you remain essentially unchanged. It is the ultimate expression of the relativity of time, a place where the ticking of the cosmic clock is stretched to its absolute breaking point. You are a passenger on a world that has stepped outside the stream of history, existing in a state of permanent gravitational grace that outlasts the stars. Notice how the ancient light reaching a newly formed planet carries the faint, shimmering visual echoes of stars that died long before the world was even born. The sky is not a live broadcast of the current state of the universe, but rather a vast, multi-layered archive of light that has travelled for millions of years to reach our eyes. Every star seen from the surface of an exoplanet is a visual ghost, a snapshot of a past that may have already been extinguished by the slow, inevitable processes of stellar death. This visual delay ensures that no two worlds ever see the same universe at the same time, as every perspective is a unique fragment of history. Before we delve deeper into this bridge across time, allow your physical body to settle into its own quiet state of preservation and comfort. Feel the steady, rhythmic pulse of your heart as it marks the passage of your own personal time, a reliable and comforting anchor in a world of shifting ancient light. You're safe and supported, resting in the absolute present even as the stars above whisper secrets from a distant ancient history that has finally reached your shore. Just as the planet absorbs the light of dead suns, you're absorbing the peace of this moment, perfectly balanced between the past and the future. This structure of starlight turns the night sky into a panoramic history of everything that has ever been, a masterpiece of cosmic distance and light. A planet on the far side of the galaxy sees a different sky than we do, viewing stars that are still in their infancy while we see them as aging giants. It is a profound, beautiful deception, a way for the universe to remain connected to its own origins through the simple voyage of a photon. The light is the messenger of a dead world, painting the darkness with the beauty of a past that remains eternally present in the eyes of those who watch. Seasons on planets with highly elliptical orbits stretch and compress with a natural rhythmic elasticity that makes the very concept of a year feel beautifully fluid. Rather than the predictable circular path of a world like Earth, these planets trace a long needle-like oval through the dark, swinging from the icy outskirts of the system to the blistering heat of the inner core. As the world approaches its sun, the orbital velocity increases dramatically, turning a brief, intense summer into a whirlwind of light and heat that passes in a few short weeks. This rapid transition is a high-speed sprint through the stellar fire, a burst of energy that defines the peak of the planetary year. Deep within the long, slow arc of the outer orbit, the planet decelerates into a lingering winter that can last for years or even decades. The sun shrinks to a distant, brilliant point, and the world grows quiet under a thick blanket of frost, waiting for the inevitable pull of gravity to draw it back toward the fire. This ebb and flow of speed and temperature creates a planetary experience of time that is profoundly organic, a long, slow inhalation followed by a quick, fiery exhalation. The inhabitants of such a world would measure their lives not in days, but in the slow, sweeping cycles of the orbital ellipse. If we were to look closer, we would see that this fluid year shapes every aspect of the world's geology and atmosphere, creating a landscape that is constantly adapting to extremes. The winds howl with incredible force during the close approach, only to settle into a deep, frozen silence as the planet drifts back into the dark. It is a world that lives its life in pulses, a rhythmic existence that defines the passage of time through the changing intensity of the light and the shifting speed of the world's flight. The very concept of time is tied to the movement of the planet, making every year a unique and varied journey through space. Surprisingly, the rapid and dizzying rotation of certain gas giants creates a day that blurs past in just a few fleeting hours, turning the celestial sphere into a high-speed carousel. These massive worlds, composed of liquid and gas, spin with such ferocity that their equators bulge outward, fighting against the very gravity that holds them together. On the surface of their upper cloud decks, the sun rises and sets with a frequency that turns the transition of day and night into a rhythmic, pulsing flicker of light and shadow. The speed of the rotation is so intense that the traditional sense of a day is replaced by a high-frequency strobe of cosmic proportions. Imagine the view from a floating platform suspended in these high-velocity winds, where the stars above do not drift but instead streak across the sky in a constant luminous blur. The atmospheric bands of the planet are whipped into a frenzy by this motion, creating storms and jet streams that move with a power that is unimaginable on a slower, rocky world. The energy of the planet's spin is transformed into a massive protective bubble that hums with the power of 1,000 suns, glowing with auroras that never truly fade. It is a world of pure momentum, a place where the passage of time is a blur of kinetic energy, proving that even the largest objects in the universe can move with a speed that is truly breathtaking. Every few hours, the world completes another turn, a rapid-fire heartbeat that marks the frantic pace of its life in the dark. For a rocky planet locked in the habitable zone of a dim and ultra-cool dwarf star, cosmic evolution seems to unfold in incredible slow motion. These tiny crimson suns possess a level of fuel efficiency that is almost incomprehensible, burning their internal reserves so slowly that they can remain stable for trillions of years. While more massive stars like our own sun will swell and die in a few billion years, these ultra-cool dwarves offer an eternity of unchanging low-energy light to their planetary companions. This environment fosters a level of stability that allows life to explore every possible evolutionary path, taking millions of years to make the smallest of changes. The concept of time is stretched into a vast, silent horizon where nothing is urgent and everything is permanent. Notice how the sheer, unhurried scale of this environment creates a sense of profound, unshakable peace that settles into the very core of the planet. Light itself bends softly as it passes around massive exoplanets, creating natural gravitational lenses that distort the background stars into delicate sweeping arcs. This phenomenon, predicted by the deep geometry of relativity, turns the planet into a giant cosmic magnifying glass that warps the image of the distant universe. As the planet glides through the dark, it drags the background star field along with it, creating a shimmering halo of distorted light that reveals the invisible reach of its gravitational field. These luminous rings and streaks are the visible fingerprints of gravity, proving that mass and light are forever intertwined in a silent, beautiful dance. If we were to look closer, we would see that these arcs and rings are a perfect mathematical representation of the planet's mass and density. The starlight is not merely blocked by the world, it is sculpted by it, flowing around the planetary curve like water around a stone in a stream. This creates a breathtaking optical display, where the distant cold stars are transformed into luminous ribbons of gold and white that frame the silhouette of the exoplanet. The world acts as a lens for the infinite, bringing the distant reaches of the cosmos into focus through the sheer power of its own existence. This structure of light allows us to see the unseen, revealing the presence of worlds that would otherwise be lost in the absolute dark of the void. As you imagine these golden arcs of light, feel the absolute comforting stillness of your own limbs, resting in a state of perfect, effortless alignment with the world around you. You are part of this same tapestry of gravity and light, anchored in a state of rest while the universe bends and swirls around you in a masterpiece of natural optics. The world is not just a destination, but a way for the universe to see itself through the bending of a star's ray. The perceived absolute stillness of a rocky exoplanet belies the hidden, kinetic fact that it is actually hurtling smoothly through the cosmos at hundreds of miles per second. While an observer on the surface might feel nothing but the gentle breeze and the steady pull of gravity, they are actually passengers on a high-speed voyage through the infinite. The planet is locked into a multi-layered dance, spinning on its axis while orbiting its star, which in turn is falling through the galactic disk at a staggering velocity. The mountains and the plains remain fixed and silent, seemingly motionless, while the entire world is engaged in a silent, desperate flight across the velvet dark of the interstellar medium. It is a majestic, high-speed voyage that requires no effort and produces no noise, a masterpiece of cosmic engineering. Picture the sheer, unimaginable scale of this journey, where a world travels millions of miles in the time it takes for you to take a single deep breath. Before you continue this voyage through the stars, take a moment to notice the absolute comforting stability of the surface beneath you as you rest. You're safely anchored and protected, moving through the universe with a speed that is entirely matched by your state of perfect, peaceful rest. You are a part of the grand cosmic migration, yet you remain entirely at home in the stillness of your own heart, floating securely through the dark. This structure of deep time on distant worlds effortlessly reduces the entire lifespan of a massive star down to a mere rhythmic breath of the universe. When viewed through the lens of billions of years, the birth, life, and eventual cooling of a sun appear as a fleeting, momentary event in a much larger, unfolding story. The world below watches as its star swells and fades, marking the passage of an era that is, in the grand scheme of the cosmos, nothing more than a single, slow inhalation of light. This perspective of deep time strips away the urgency of the moment, revealing a universe that is a slow and patient unfolding of possibilities. Deep within the rock and the ice of these planets, the history of these stellar breaths is written in layers of chemical and isotopic signatures that outlast the fire of the sun itself. A planet that survives the death of its host star becomes a silent witness to the transience of energy, a cold and quiet monument to the fire that once gave it life. This enduring presence in the face of stellar change is the final, magnificent layer of the planetary journey, a testament to the resilience of matter in the stream of time. The world remains, even when the light has gone, a quiet participant in the eternal cycle of the universe. It is the ultimate realization of the relativity of time, a reminder that every moment we experience is a part of a much grander, eternal ticking of the cosmic clock. The universe does not measure its life in hours or days, but in the life cycles of stars and the slow, majestic rotation of galaxies. We are but a part of this rhythmic breath, a brief and beautiful flicker of consciousness in a universe that remains, for all of its motion, a place of profound and enduring peace. As the clock ticks gently in the dark, the world settles into its final form, a quiet echo of the cosmic dawn that continues to pulse through the void. This pulse through the void reveals that every single exoplanet discovered so far represents only a tiny, solitary grain of sand on the vast cosmic beach of our galaxy. While our telescopes have glimpsed thousands of worlds, they have only scratched the surface of a neighbourhood containing hundreds of billions of suns. The scale of the unknown is so immense that our current maps are essentially blank canvases waiting for the first stroke of a brush. Such a reality humbles the human perspective, reminding us that our entire history has unfolded on a single, microscopic speck within an infinite gallery of possibilities. The vastness of the cosmic beach does not diminish our importance, but rather expands the stage upon which the story of the universe is being told. We are the witnesses to a planetary census that has only just begun to reveal the true diversity of the stars. The universe remains profoundly silent despite this abundance, giving rise to the famous Fermi paradox that quietly asks why such a vast, incredibly planet-rich galaxy remains so seemingly devoid of voices. If the ingredients for life are scattered so liberally across the dark, the absence of a signal or a sign becomes a heavy, beautiful weight on the human spirit. This profound, heavy silence of an unanswered, beautiful question hangs over every observation, inviting us to wonder if we are listening to a crowded room or an empty cathedral. If we were to look closer at the statistics, the math suggests that the galaxy should be teeming with the echoes of other civilizations, yet the radio waves remain still and undisturbed. This discrepancy creates a haunting mystery that drives our search into the farthest reaches of space, seeking even the slightest whisper of a distant neighbour. We are like children calling out into a foggy night, waiting for an answer that may be travelling from a world we haven't even found yet. Perhaps the silence is not a sign of absence, but a reflection of the immense, unbridgeable distances that keep every world in a state of isolated sanctuary. The paradox invites us to value the voices we do have, turning our attention back to the profound miracle of our own communication. In the heart of the cosmic silence, the search for others becomes a way to treasure the rare and fleeting harmony of our own existence. Picture a world completely capable of sustaining life that has simply remained peaceful and barren since its fiery creation, a dormant masterpiece of biology that never began. This world possesses the perfect oceans, the ideal atmosphere, and the most nurturing starlight, yet the spark of life remained a potential that was never realised. It sits in the dark like a beautifully tuned instrument that has never been played, a silent sanctuary of water and stone waiting for a symphony that may never come. Such a world represents the quietest of paradoxes, a place where all the necessary conditions for vitality exist in a state of eternal, undisturbed preparation. The waves lap against the shore and the clouds drift through the sky in a rhythmic, planetary-scale meditation that has no witness. It is a world of absolute, unblinking potential, a reminder that the recipe for life requires more than just the right ingredients in a pot. This structure of barren perfection highlights the mysterious, fragile gap between a habitable world and a living one. Without the accidental spark to set the chemical engine in motion, the planet remains a pristine geological monument to what could have been. It is a hauntingly beautiful vision of stillness, a world that has mastered the art of being ready without ever having to be occupied. Before contemplating the rarity of the mind, allow the deep, heavy silence of this barren world to settle into your own resting body, feeling the profound stillness of your immediate surroundings. Your frame is a vessel of absolute calm, a quiet sanctuary mirroring the peaceful, undisturbed state of these distant, empty shores. Just as the planet rests in its ancient, unbreaking equilibrium, you are perfectly supported and safe in the soft, dark folds of your own rest. Imagine the tantalizing possibility that the exact conditions for consciousness require a sequence of events so rare it borders on the impossible. The transition from simple chemistry to a mind that can contemplate the stars may depend on 1 trillion accidental collisions and perfect environmental shifts that happened only once in our corner of space. This structure of rarity turns our own existence into a cosmic miracle, a flickering flame that persists against the immense, indifferent backdrop of the void. Deep within the history of the universe, the emergence of a self-aware observer might be the most infrequent event of all, occurring only in the most sheltered and fortunate of circumstances. We are the eyes through which the cosmos finally looks back at itself, a rare and precious occurrence in a universe that is largely composed of unthinking matter. This realization adds a layer of profound responsibility to our journey, making every thought a significant event in the timeline of the galaxy. Deep within the farthest reaches of the galactic disk, the exact same basic chemical building blocks found on Earth exist abundantly on these alien shores, proving that the universe speaks a single, unified language of matter. The carbon that forms our hearts and the water that fills our oceans are the same materials that coat the mountains of planets thousands of light years away. Despite their immense, unbridgeable distances, we share a fundamental atomic inheritance with every world that has ever formed in the dark. This chemical continuity ensures that the universe is a coherent and understandable whole, where the laws of nature remain constant across the vastness of the void. The same iron that provides the core of a distant super-Earth was forged in the heart of a dying star, just like the iron in our own blood. We are part of a massive celestial recycling program, where the remnants of ancient star death are transformed into the foundations of new and varied worlds. Surprisingly, this shared chemistry suggests that the potential for life is woven into the very fabric of space and time. If the building blocks are everywhere, then the universe is essentially a vast garden of chemical potential, waiting for the right conditions to bloom. We are never truly strangers in the cosmos, for we are made of the same stardust that defines the horizon of every planet we discover. The more we learn about the immense, overwhelming diversity of exoplanets, the more uniquely fragile our own blue world appears in the face of the cosmic extremes. We see worlds of liquid iron, planets of crushing pressure, and spheres of eternal ice, each one a stark reminder of the delicate balance required to maintain a home like ours. This realization turns our gaze back toward the Earth with a sense of profound protective wonder, seeing it as a tiny, vibrant island in a sea of beautiful but inhospitable wonders. This structure of fragility highlights the incredible series of cosmic coincidences that allow our atmosphere to remain stable and our oceans to stay liquid. In the vast gallery of planetary architecture, the Earth is a rare masterpiece of moderation, a place where the fire and the ice have found a state of perfect, enduring truce. Knowing how harsh the rest of the galaxy can be only serves to deepen our appreciation for the soft, green sanctuary that supports our every breath. Feel the steady, rhythmic beat of your heart as it circulates warmth through your resting limbs, a quiet and constant reminder of the life that thrives within your own biological sanctuary. You are a masterpiece of that same fragile balance, perfectly protected and supported in the quiet of this moment. Just as the Earth is cradled by its atmosphere, you are cradled by the profound peace of your own rest, a living participant in a rare and beautiful planetary success. Some planets exist entirely as mathematical ghosts, softly inferred by the subtle gravitational tug they exert on their host stars, but forever hidden from our optical telescopes. We know they are there not because we have seen their light, but because the math tells us that the stars themselves are dancing to an invisible rhythm. They are phantoms of the dark, worlds that we can feel through the laws of physics, but can never hope to photograph or see with our eyes. The universe reveals its secrets through these invisible interactions, proving that mass and gravity are the true cartographers of the cosmic dark. We map the existence of these hidden worlds by measuring the tiny wobbles of distant suns, listening to the gravitational whispers that bypass the limits of our vision. It is a profound demonstration of the power of the human mind to perceive a reality that remains entirely beyond the reach of our direct experience. This structure of hidden worlds suggests that the universe is far more populated than our visual data could ever suggest. For every world we see, there may be a dozen others that remain cloaked in the shadows, known only to the mathematics of the stars. We are navigating a galaxy filled with ghosts, a vast and silent population of worlds that exist in a state of perfect, mathematical grace just beyond the edge of the light. If we were to look closer, the dividing line between a massive gas giant planet and a small failed star beautifully blurs into a spectrum of celestial objects known as brown dwarfs. These massive spheres are too heavy to be called planets, but not quite massive enough to ignite the nuclear fire of a true sun, leaving them to glow with a faint, cooling infrared heat. They represent a middle ground of existence, worlds that have been trapped in a state of eternal glowing transition between the planetary and the stellar. Such a reality challenges our desire for neat categories, revealing a universe that prefers smooth gradients and complex overlapping definitions. The brown dwarf is a solitary wanderer, a world that was almost a star but chose instead to remain a massive cooling orb of gas and metal. It drifts through the void with a quiet internal radiance, a bridge between the light of the suns and the shadows of the planets. This blurred boundary reminds us that the universe is a place of continuous evolution and subtle transitions, where no object is truly isolated from its neighbours. Even the largest planets and the smallest stars are part of the same grand architectural continuum of mass and energy. In the heart of a brown dwarf, the fire of creation has been softened into a gentle, enduring glow, a testament to the diverse and varied ways that matter can organise itself in the dark. This perspective transforms the simple act of stargazing into a profound journey of discovery through the layers of cosmic time and distance. The sky is deep and layered, filled with worlds that have already lived out their entire histories and others that are only just beginning to form. We are the readers of this infinite library, turning the pages of the starlight to uncover the secrets of a universe that is both ancient and eternally new. We stare out into the immense cosmic dark, seeking the quiet companionship of other worlds, primarily as a way to deeply understand ourselves and our place in the grand design. Every discovery of a distant world acts as a mirror, reflecting our own uniqueness, our own fears, and our own profound desire for connection in an infinite void. This search is the ultimate expression of our humanity, a quest to find meaning in the simple fact that we are a part of a universe that is vast, beautiful, and deeply mysterious. This structure of self-reflection ensures that our journey into the stars is also a journey into the deepest parts of our own consciousness. By looking for life elsewhere, we are forced to define what makes life precious here, turning our scientific curiosity into a profound act of self-discovery. We are not just cataloguing the planets, we are mapping the boundaries of our own wonder and the depths of our own capacity for awe. The search for companionship is a reminder that we're not observers of the universe, but participants in its ongoing story of self-knowledge. In the quiet mirror of a distant world, we see the flicker of our own ambition and the steady pulse of our own hope for a future among the stars. We're seeking the other as a way to finally come home to ourselves, finding peace in the realization that the universe is large enough to hold all of our questions. The final, magnificent realization of our journey is that the universe is not just a place we inhabit, but a vast and interconnected whole that is coming to know itself through our very curiosity. We are the eyes of the cosmos, the consciousness that turns the silent movements of the planets into a story of wonder and profound, enduring peace. Every world we have explored, from the azure gas giants to the frozen ice realms, is a thread in the single, beautiful tapestry of existence that we are honoured to witness. This grand synthesis reveals that the dark is not empty, but filled with the potential for connection and the promise of a future that transcends the boundaries of our home world. We are part of a rhythmic breath of creation, a brief and beautiful flicker of consciousness in a universe that remains, for all of its motion, a place of profound and enduring harmony. The journey through the exoplanets is the story of our own awakening to the infinite, a realization that we are exactly where we need to be. As the final quiet settles over our long exploration, let the weight of this understanding anchor you in a state of absolute, peaceful belonging. You are a part of the stars, a child of the same laws that guide the planets, safely tucked into the heart of a universe that is as vast as it is kind. The story does not end here, but continues in every pulse of the light and every breath of the dark, an eternal and beautiful masterwork of cosmic design. The ultimate realization of exoplanetary discovery is that the universe is not an empty, terrifying void, but an infinite, patient garden of possibilities where every single star is a sun to someone's sky. This grand synthesis reveals that the dark is not empty, but filled with the potential for connection and the promise of a future that transcends the boundaries of our home world. We are part of a rhythmic breath of creation, a brief and beautiful flicker of consciousness in a universe that remains, for all of its motion, a place of profound and enduring harmony. Deep within the quiet of this moment, the focus shifts from the distant horizons of alien worlds back to the immediate gentle reality of your own resting frame. Surprisingly, the body knows exactly how to settle, drifting away from the grand narratives of the cosmos into the soft, unmoving peace of your own room. Notice how the weight of the day has been replaced by a light, effortless sense of surrender to the surface beneath you. Starting at the very edge of your awareness, feel your toes becoming heavy and still, releasing every bit of tension into the cool air. The arches of your feet and your ankles soften completely, sinking deeply into the supportive comfort of the mattress. This quiet room is a sanctuary for your physical form, a place where movement is no longer required, and rest is the only priority. Moving slowly upward, allow the muscles of your calves and your knees to let go, feeling a wave of relaxation wash over your lower limbs. Your thighs and your hips settle with a profound, grounding weight, finding their perfect place in the stillness of the night. If we were to look closer, every fibre of your being is aligning with the slow, steady rhythm of your own internal peace. The centre of your body expands and contracts with a natural rhythmic ease that requires absolutely no thought or effort. Your lower back and your shoulders melt into the bedding, feeling the gentle, protective embrace of the space around you. Notice your hands and your fingers resting in a state of total limp stillness, having finished their work for the day. The muscles of your neck and your jaw release their final hold, allowing your head to feel supported and light against the pillow. Surprisingly, the face becomes smooth and calm, with the eyes resting quietly behind closed lids in a state of deep, unblinking comfort. Your entire presence is now a masterpiece of stillness, a quiet echo of the peace you have explored. This quiet room is filled with a soft, unchanging darkness that holds you in a state of absolute, unshakable security. The air you breathe is cool and fresh, moving in and out of your lungs with the effortless grace of a sleeping tide. Every inhalation brings a deeper sense of calm, while every exhalation carries away the last traces of the waking world. The walls of this room are a silent shield, protecting your peace from the noise and movement of the world outside. Within this small, private sanctuary, time has slowed down to a crawl, leaving only the pure, uncomplicated reality of your own resting breath. You're sinking deeper into the mattress with every passing second, becoming one with the quiet and the dark. And now, 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.